This is the Vaguely Nerdy Podcast, where every week this brother-sister duo gets together to discuss the box office, latest film and TV scoops, along with our latest movie or show review, and what we're getting into next. We're your hosts,
Cheryl
and Jay.
All right, so I am on deck to quiz Jay for trivia, and this week we watched Deadpool and Wolverine. Is your mind ready to be quizzed?
Yep.
All right, so in the climax scene of Deadpool, and that's not a spoiler, there is a scene that is the climax of the film. The people in the scene are fighting in a similar looking town, or the exact same town actually as another movie. What town is that? And let me dwindle it down for you a little bit. It's not Marvel or X-Men related.
What town?
It's a town from another movie.
And what scene? In
the climax scene of Deadpool and Wolverine. So the same town is in Deadpool and Wolverine and another movie. Can you guess what the other movie is?
So there was nothing in this town that was recognizable to me. So I'm just going to start guessing. So
okay, I give you 3. No, think more no. Just no.
Okay.
No. Okay, it's a comedy.
No. Okay.
It's a comedy.
Nutty Professor?
No? Okay, it's a comedy that, I'm just going to help you out here. It's a comedy that stars Ryan Reynolds.
The town?
Mm-hmm.
Free Guy?
Yes. It's the exact same town as Free Guy.
I thought the town in Free Guy was in a computer.
Well, technically yes, but it's the same town according to IMDb trivia.
So the town that they're fighting in Deadpool is
in that one particular scene. Yes,
is the fake town from Free Guy.
Yes, they built it.
Okay,
practically.
I have no idea how they
because
did that, okay.
Because I guess Sean Levy liked it a lot. So
because he made Free Guy.
Yes, he did direct Free Guy.
See, yeah. I loved Free Guy, but I've only watched Free Guy that one time we saw it in theaters.
Right.
I did not recognize anything from that. When people have talked about that scene.
Okay, yes.
And the Easter eggs in the background. And I always assumed that they were comic book Easter eggs. But I guess that they were talking about Free Guy this whole time.
Okay, you're right. And I need to go watch New Rockstar's breakdown for this movie now that we've seen it. But yes, apparently it is the fake town in Free Guy. In Deadpool and Wolverine.
That's good. I wish I had known that when I watched it.
Now that I know it, it looks like it.
You really have to have been a fan of Free Guy to have known that.
Seen it multiple times.
Because...
Yes.
Yeah, I know.
Yeah. I was like, was I supposed to recognize the newspaper stand? I don't know.
I mean, I love Free Guy, but I don't.
It was a good movie.
Was it that popular?
No.
Okay.
It was one of those inside jokes that we didn't know about.
Good for, well, you know what? And that's the thing about inside jokes. They're not for everyone. So.
Right.
We missed it. So
the whole MCU audience.
I'm glad it was there for somebody else.
Right. Somebody caught on. I'm sure somebody recognized that.
Okay.
Let's get into our episode.
Welcome, fellow movie buffs. I'm Jay.
I'm Cheryl.
Listen in as we break down movie and TV shows, tell you what's in the plot, and hear if we think you should have watched it when you had the chance.
Dun, dun, dun.
Okay, so we are coming to you live from San Diego Comic-Con in our hotel room. This is our first off-site recording.
Yeah, it's
and
interesting.
We have a pretty fun list of things to go over today. We have some details from Comic-Con Hall H panel for our MCU that just wrapped up a couple of hours ago for us.
Right.
We have a hefty trip to the trailer park and a little scoop of Buncha Crunch this time before we get into our movie review of the week, which is Deadpool and Wolverine at Comic-Con.
All right, so Comic-Con is back. I guess this is like the first full Comic-Con since their strikes and COVID. So Marvel was back in their usual spot of Saturday Hall H time, and the panel just wrapped up like 2 hours ago. We were not in that panel because we decided we didn't want to sleep outside for 36 hours, but we do have updates on what happened. Yeah. Kevin Feige was out, and he mainly talked about he said he was going to talk about 3 movies, which he technically did. It wasn't only 3 movies, but we'll get to that. First on our docket was Captain America: Brave New World. And in that, they showed a little bit of a clip, which you can't record in there, so nobody has like leaked the footage. But we learned that Giancarlo Esposito will play Seth Volker. Did I say that character's name right?
I think it's Seth Volker.
Who is also known as Sidewinder, who is the king of the Serpent Society. Yes. So we all was wrong when we tried to guess what.
Yes, everybody and all the scoopers who confirmed that they got the scoop correct from their inside sources were all incorrect.
Scoops of poop.
Yeah.
they weren't right. And he said it. He said nobody's guessed it. And we were all like, you lying.
And everybody doubled down after he said that still nobody has guessed. Everybody doubled down like he's doing George W. Bridge. The Scoopers
is having an off year when it comes to Marvel. But you said that you had brought up that the Serpent Society was supposed to be the plot line for Captain America 3, which actually ended up being Civil War. So they like scrapped Serpent Society, pivoted, and now it sounds like they were like, let me dust the plot off for this and bringing it back.
Yeah, so you can actually still find the footage on YouTube for that Hall H panel. When they were talking about Captain America 3.
I didn't know you could still find it.
The first this is when they first announced Chadwick Boseman as Black Panther,
because that was his first appearance.
And they did their PowerPoint presentation, and the title reel showed Captain America and the Serpent Society, and everybody was excited about it. And then Kevin Feige was like, "Oh no, he was like, oh, this just doesn't seem epic enough." He was like, "Let's do something else." And then they changed the title to "It's a
Civil
Video
War.
on YouTube." Yeah. On the Hall H panel, and they changed it to Civil War,
which was
and
epic.
They brought out
that is first time. Yes,
they brought out Robert Downey Jr.
right,
and Chris Evans, and then they introduced Chadwick Boseman. That was the first year we found out Chadwick was casted as Black Panther. So it looks like the Serpent Society has come back around officially.
You know, Kevin Feige is admitted to being a nerd. He reads all the comics, and I bet you got so many storylines that they could have had that they shifted from. He's like, now's my chance.
Yeah, so
it sounds exciting though.
Serpent Society is just a gang of supervillains, and they all they're all named after different types of snakes.
Sure.
Sidewinder being the leader.
I like it.
Yeah. So this means that people were speculating that he was going to be an anti-hero or like a good guy.
You said that's not it.
It being George W. Bridge, because George W. Bridge is technically a good guy. Sidewinder is a bad guy. Like, there is no good people in the Serpent Society.
Okay.
So
listen,
he is a antagonist.
We don't dislike Jen as a villain. So
maybe he's working for the leader.
Okay. Or the leader's working for him?
No,
maybe?
Leader's way too powerful.
Okay.
Yeah.
Never mind.
Leader is a foil to the Hulk. So
okay. I was kind of like, maybe they're equal partners.
Yeah.
50-50.
So that's interesting. So Giancarlo is going to be a villain, which is funny because people were saying it's a waste to make him a good guy. So he's not being wasted, apparently.
I don't like when people try to say, oh, he's always playing a villain. Somebody should give him something else. The actors can say no to things they don't, and especially of his stature. He could say
he likes doing this.
He could say, "I don't want to play a villain, guys. Make me somebody else that's good." But he didn't want to. So if he like it, I like it. So we're good.
Some of the footage that was shown in Hall H and some details about Captain America: Brave New World.
Yeah.
It looks like, as it was speculated, the celestial Tiamat that has been left in the ocean,
everybody named Mom have been asking about,
is going to introduce adamantium into the MCU. In the clips, Harrison Ford's President Ross is having a Tiamat Island summit.
Oh, that's
where
cute.
He is telling all of the nations that adamantium has been discovered on Celestial Island, and that Celestials are made of adamantium. So
bad idea.
That'll be the introduction of adamantium into the MCU. It's exciting. Lore-wise, adamantium is much, much, much weaker than vibranium, so they already have a stronger metal in the world.
But I'm okay with Wakanda still having the good stuff.
But it's a Wolverine tease. I think that's it's a mutant tease. The whole point of it is to tease the mutants.
Well, Kevin Feige said when he was doing his press run for Deadpool and Wolverine that movie is the introduction of the mutants. So we about to get. I mean, they already been sprinkling mutants here and there, and they just do add more seasoning. Yeah, pretty much in all the other movies.
Yeah, and probably because it's still extremely hard to get their hands on vibranium. So because this island is just sitting in the middle of nowhere, this is the next best thing. So everybody's gonna be scrambling it for it. So that's exciting.
I like it. I like everybody was losing their mind on Twitter at the word of antimanium. Like, oh my God, it's coming. because we know what it means.
The next film that was talked about at the panel was Thunderbolts.
Hey, asterisk. Thunderbolts with an asterisk.
Thunderbolts with an asterisk, which Kevin Feige still has not explained what the asterisk is about. He says he won't until the movie is out, so we have no idea what it is.
It's going to be something related to the after credit scene, I'm calling it.
They did say that the Thunderbolts, the name is not related to Thunderbolt Ross in the MCU, even though it is related to Thunderbolt Ross in the comics, so I don't think that makes much of a difference.
No, I don't think so.
We got some announcements for some of the footage that was shown there as well. So Louis Pullman, who was the latest addition to the Thunderbolts, he is going to be mostly confirmed as Sentry.
They called him Bob.
On the stage, they called his character Bob, and they described his character in the footage shown as bulletproof. If you do know, Sentry is Superman. Right. Sentry's real name MCU. In the comics is Robert Reynolds.
So Bob.
And he is he's a psychotic Superman. He's mentally unstable Superman. So being bulletproof is like Superman's main power.
So he's Homelander? Without being racist?
No, because I think Homelander's just evil.
Okay.
I wouldn't attribute Homelander's to. I think Homelander is making a conscious choice to be evil. I wouldn't call it.
So Sentry just needs some BetterHelp.com.
Yeah, Sentry's got like he has a separate personality that's kind of like a completely different part of the character.
So he got whatever Moon Knight
It's
got.
like a Dr. Jekyll. It would be like if Superman had a Dr. Jekyll and Mr. Hyde, but they both share the same powers. Also, Val, who is being played by Julia Louis-Dreyfus in this, who's going to be like, we assumed that she was going to be like the Nick Fury-esque character.
We thought she was going to be the leader of, like you said, Nick Fury or the Thunderbolts.
Yeah, because the movie's described as the Suicide Squad version of a Marvel film.
Right.
But we assume that Val would be the Viola Davis, the Amanda Waller character. Seems like she's going to be more of the antagonist. She was described as the antagonist in this.
I'm okay with that because I don't like Julie Louis-Dreyfus is fine. Yeah. I don't like Val.
I think it's gonna be a Suicide Squad thing where Val is the Amanda Waller and Sentry is gonna be like the who was the villain in the Suicide Squad movie? The Enchantress.
Okay.
Where Waller is the bad guy, but then the real villain appears like a third way through the movie, and they have to band together and defeat Sentry.
Is it Sentry's fault though?
Yes.
Okay.
Well, it depends on how they take the story.
How they turn it. Okay.
Because in some cases, in some iterations, Sentry is mentally unstable because he's like a lab-grown version of Superman.
That's not his fault.
They took a person and kind of like tried to manufacture their own superhero.
So they buckied him?
Yeah.
Okay.
And then that's what
broke
his brain.
Okay.
So yeah.
Okay.
I'm interested to see what they do with that.
I like Val as the villain. I knew it was like, oh, Val's gonna be Nick Fury. I was like, but I don't like Val. Can we?
I like Julia Louis-Dreyfus as an actress, and I do like her little character.
She's so rude.
I need to see more of her.
She's rude. I don't like her. She's rude.
And we also did get confirmation that the Thunderbolts will be appearing in the next two Avengers movies, which, I mean, that's not surprising.
Yeah. Anybody that's coming or introduced or got a movie between now and the next Avengers movie going to be in the next Avengers movie.
Any player on the board is going to be in the Secret Wars. That's just how it goes.
If you're not dead in the Avengers.
If you've seen Infinity War Endgame, you know how this goes. You know how the sagas wrap up.
Right.
So, yeah. We got a bit of Fantastic Four news.
A little bit.
In the Hall H panel. So, of course, we had the main cast of the Fantastic Four on stage. We had The Thing, Sue Storm, Mr. Fantastic, and Human Torch actors on stage.
Yep.
We didn't have Ralph Ineson, who was going to be voicing Galactus, but
that would have been nice.
I don't think he lives in America, and because he's mostly doing voice work, I don't know if he'll be doing motion capture.
Oh, well, he's a little too small.
He may not have had to have been present.
Right. But it would have been nice to hear. We love Ralph Ineson's voice work, so it would have been nice to hear him do a little chatter.
So we've gotten some details for Fantastic Four. They've added a tagline to the end of the film, which is now going to be called The Fantastic Four First Steps. I'm not enthused about that at all. I don't think it needed a tagline.
But Marvel very much doesn't use numbers anymore. Have you noticed that? But for the first movie, it could have just been Fantastic Four. But you're probably right. They want to differentiate it from the other ones that's already out. But like we know how to Google. We would have known.
We're far away enough from the other Fantastic Fours. I don't like this tagline. The first steps sounds like
walking on the moon.
Yeah, it sounds like what you call like a kindergarten or a daycare center, First Steps.
I said it was like a commercial for Huggies. I
don't like it.
Not Kevin, we're not a fan. Call it something else. I feel like guess what?
Go ahead and drop this back off.
I think they're going to change it.
Go ahead and just drop this back off. It's still early days.
They haven't printed any posters, so we're fine.
Filming for this film begins on Tuesday. Footage was shown in Hall H, and it is described as just because they don't have actually anything really filmed.
Right.
What they got was just like a sizzle reel.
Yeah.
Just shots of what their retro suits are going to look like because it's set in a retro futuristic 60s alternate universe,
which we got from the poster.
They have scenes of the Fantastic Car flying through the retro futuristic Manhattan.
There was a version of the car on the panel.
Yeah, they floated an actual model of the Fantastic Car through Hall H.
Ching,
the
ching.
Fantastic Car is being described by the director Max Shakeman as a Cadillac that meets the Jetsons.
It looks like it. I'll give Cadillac meets Jetsons.
It looks like the Fantastic Car. I mean, it's floating. It doesn't have wheels.
Yeah.
The only thing different, the Fantastic Car is usually silver, but it looks like this one's going to be like blue and black.
Yeah.
So,
blue and silver and something. Yeah.
We got some details about the Future Foundation, which is basically the foundation that's owned by the Fantastic Four. We got some images of the Fantastic Four, getting into a space shuttle and blasting off into space. So I think the origin of their powers is going to come from the cosmic rays that they have,
which we've seen in previous Fantastic Four movies.
And we know that they're already going to be established characters
in the movie, so we're not getting an origin story.
Right.
Thank Jesus.
We're not getting an origin story. They have described that you're going to get a lot of Eben Moss Baccarat outside of being the Thing. You're going to get astronaut Eben Moss Baccarat. So we'll probably get a lot of flashbacks of him pre-Thing.
Okay,
but
not mad at that.
The movie will start off with them already being established heroes and public figures. Pedro Pascal is going to be like this Bill Nye
science teacher
who's like has a television show.
Yeah.
The Thing, Johnny Storm, and Mr. Fantastic are going to appear on like the dating game because that was big in the 60s as well. Which means that it's going to be pre-marriage.
Wrong Storm. It's a Sue Storm, not Storm.
They're not going to be married in the beginning of the film. So I think that's interesting. They're already established, but not a couple.
But how is that? That means that she doesn't have her powers?
Well, it means that they both have powers, but they have not fallen in love.
They ain't linked
They're still
up?
co-workers.
Okay.
Yeah. So they're still co-workers at this
If they
phase.
go the whole movie with them not married, I wouldn't be upset about that.
No.
No.
I mean, because we know where they're going to end up, so you don't have to shove it in everybody's faces in the beginning.
The fact that it's not an origin story already got a +1 for me. If they change up the fact that they're not together yet, would be another +1. Make it different.
One of the most interesting tidbits about the footage that was shown in Hall H is that there's images of Galactus peering inside the windows of the Baxter building,
huge,
showing that he's clearly a very huge cosmic entity,
which we needed.
They're going cosmic accurate, so he's going to be a big purple guy in armor.
Yeah,
interested in seeing that, and I don't know. I don't know what else to say. I'm just excited. I'm excited about the Fantastic Four.
We only talking about Marvel here, but this is just a Q shout out. Y'all should have done better to DC because they didn't have any panel at all at Comic-Con, and now we have Marvel giving us something for a movie that don't start filming until Tuesday.
Right.
Wake up over there. But anyway, let's keep going. We're sticking to Marvel because they gave us the goods.
Yeah. So absolutely interested in all the Fantastic Four we're going to get within the next coming year.
Yeah.
They're filming Tuesday, which means everybody's going to be watching like a hawk for any updates, and we'll probably get more updates in like the next 2 weeks.
They should probably not film anything outside. Nothing.
No, it's
closed sets, please.
The footage that was shown in Hall H was described as completely shot on a soundstage.
Yeah, y'all don't.
So I'm sure they're going to utilize the volume.
Listen, just take whatever set, put some walls around it so we don't get leaked to heck from now till next July.
And because it's like a retro futuristic set, all of this stuff is going to be like super CGI and fake. So they don't have to film outside, but...
No, I don't see nobody walking to the grocery store or nothing. Just close it. Close it all the way.
Unsurprising, the Fantastic Four will appear in the next 2 Avengers films, Avengers 5 and 6, which we know one of those is going to be Secret Wars, which rolls us into our last bit of news.
And where Kevin Feige lied because he said, "Oh, we only going to talk about 3 movies," and then he said, "Oh, I meant 3 or more movies." Well,
somebody on Twitter pointed out that he didn't lie. They said that Kevin talked about 3 movies and he brought out the Russo brothers to talk about the last 2. You know what? So
we in our era of bending truths here, but fine, whatever.
Avengers 5 and 6, we got some title announcements. So Avengers 5 is going to be officially titled Avengers Doomsday.
Kang is gone, y'all. Kang is gone.
That's not surprising.
I'm kind of sad. I wanted them to continue Kang, and if you go back to one of the episodes where we talked about this, I was like, just recast it and keep it moving. But they said, no, we're done. Kang who?
And Avengers 6 is going to be our official Avengers Secret Wars film.
That didn't change.
We got a logo for both films and confirmed, as we speculated last week, the Russo brothers are going to be returning to direct these next 2 Avengers films. So they're going to close out this saga as they closed out the last one.
And thank you for keeping the same director for both films, because it sounds like they were not going to do that originally, that they were going to have 2 different directors. Don't do that.
And a lot of people are calling it the safe choice because they went back to the same 2 directors. And the safe choice can also be synonymous with a good choice.
I'm fine with that.
Yeah. So
I'm like James Cameron directed Avatar 1 and 2.
That's like saying hiring Ridley Scott to direct Gladiators 2 is the safe choice. It's like, no, it's the good choice. It's literally Ridley Scott.
His movie.
He made it's his movie. You bring him back to make his movie.
And the first one was good, so I don't understand.
The safe choice can't be the right choice if it's the right choice.
Right.
It's the right choice. In addition to the Russo brothers returning, Stephen McFeely, who co-wrote Endgame and Infinity War, will also be joining them in the creation of these 2 films.
The team is back together.
Yeah. So once again, the right choice was made.
Right. And the team about to be more back together when you about to announce this next part.
Yeah. So the last stinger at the end of this announcement is the casting of Dr. Doom, which I didn't expect us to get. I didn't expect Doom conversation this early. I expected Doom conversation to wait till after Fantastic Four.
Right, because we all assumed that Doom was going to appear in the movie, even though we know he's not the main villain, because he's the main villain of that family.
Right.
So we were like, oh, we probably gonna be an after credit scene, blah blah, and then we'll know at the after credit scene who they cast. But they were like, no, he's coming because we got rid of Kang.
So in Hall H, they brought out basically an army of Dooms, which now that the irony that I think about it now, they brought in an army of Dooms, people dressed as Dr. Doom,
right?
And one of them is the actual Dr. Doom, and they did a face reveal, and it is Robert Downey Jr.
He back.
Robert Downey Jr. is returning to the MCU to play Dr. Doom.
He's super back.
The irony is that Dr. Doom's he doesn't have henchmen.
Yeah.
He creates a army of Doom.
Clones?
No, he creates an army of Doom bots, which are essentially the exact same as Ultron bots. So the irony that Tony Stark in a separate universe did the exact same thing by creating an army of robots.
In the Tony Stark line, if you live long enough to be the hero, you turn into the villain. Yeah. Ain't that his line? Yeah. I paraphrase, but y'all know what I'm talking about.
That's not his line.
Who is it?
He has co-opted it.
Oh, is that Batman's line?
It is Harvey Dent's line in The Dark Knight.
I was close. I was getting there. People are divided. This is decisive. People are not one way or the. Some people are like, I hate this choice. They're desperate. I want somebody else to play Doom. Marvel's trash.
I think you can just boil that down to just fake Twitter talk. And I tweeted earlier how it was so funny thinking back on when Avengers Endgame was in theaters.
Yeah.
And the scene at the end of Avengers Endgame when Old Man Steve gave Sam the shield.
Correct.
And everybody in the audience and everybody in the theater went wild, and it was the best thing in the world, and everybody loved it, and everybody was so excited to see Sam as Captain America, and everybody, you could barely hear, your eardrums were bleeding, the
thunderous applause.
The amount of thunderous applause in the theaters when he gave Sam the shield. And now all of a sudden everybody's like, oh, Sam can't be Captain America
that
because
man.
He doesn't have powers.
Screw Sam. Get rid of him. We're like, hold up.
You're all weird and fake.
Listen, the fandom is, and when I say fandom, I'm including, we part of the fandom.
Yeah, we're part of the fandom. So we're sitting next to some fake weirdos.
Listen, fickle bunch.
Yeah, you're fickle.
People have been crying all this time about, we want Robert Downey Jr. back.
Yeah.
We want Chris Evans back. Bring back the OGs. Bring back old Marvel. We hate this new
and
Marvel.
It's so strange because why do you just want the same film over and over and over and over again?
Technically, they did bring Robert Downey Jr. back.
And this plays
not as Iron Man, but he back.
Like we said earlier, this plays directly into the joke in Deadpool when Deadpool was basically telling Hugh Jackman that he's going to have to play Wolverine till he's 90 because there are people who just want to see the same characters play the same movie over and over and over again.
There are people who are still asking, why are we doing Fantastic Four? Like, what?
I think people have. I think these fans are people who
don't go to the movies?
Steve Rogers was Captain America in the comics for like 100 years before he passed the torch to Sam. I think there are people who have this expectation that we need 100 years of Chris Evans Captain America before it feels right to give it to Sam. And it's like, no, nobody. That's stupid.
So you gotta die off before we switch.
You want us
Captain
all to
America?
be dead and gone before they actually do something new and incorporate some change into the MCU?
No, thank you. I want is this a safe bet? You are absolutely right. Casting Robert Downey Jr. as Doom is not only safe, but you can't tell me it is expected.
And you can't
Nobody expected this.
And you can't tell me you're not going to watch it because the only thing that gets you the engagement on your little Twitter blue checks is watching the movie and giving your opinion about it. So you're going to be in attendance and you're going to be tweeting about it, whether you like it or not.
Also,
so I will see you in the theater.
This movie does not come out for like 2 years.
Yeah.
And by then, like you said, we're going to do our flip where we're like, oh, we hate this. And then they're going to drop the first teaser, or we just go hear Robert Downey Jr. in the after credit scene, and everybody's going to be like, oh, wait a second. Now we love this. This is the perfect choice. It's not like he don't know how to act. It's not like they pick some. Also, they would have complained. I say they. Talking about the fandom. Would have complained no matter who got cast as Doom.
They would have complained. No
doesn't matter
who got. There was nobody that would
Black,
have been able to
white,
suffice for that.
Purple, AI voice don't matter.
You have people mad that Jessica Alba isn't coming back as Sue Storm. Like, I want you all to not only touch grass but roll in it. Like,
listen,
find something to do.
It doesn't. Not only would it have not mattered. Going back to Kang, it would not have mattered who they recasted as Kang. Everybody would have hated it. Mm-hmm. So they were like, you know what? We're done. Y'all told us y'all didn't like Kang anyway. I'm looking at y'all people who said y'all didn't like Kang.
Pre-controversy, people were saying that
he wasn't bad enough.
He wasn't bad enough.
He wasn't scary enough.
Yeah.
I don't get it.
And then after the controversy, when Jonathan Majors was fired, it was,
we loved Kang.
We loved Kang. Firing Jonathan Majors was the wrong idea.
Just they was reigniting the recast T'Challa fight. It's like, recast Kang. I was like, y'all don't know what y'all want. Just let the people in charge that's writing the checks and cutting the checks do it.
Every day, I've become more and more grateful that scoopers and people who tweet for a living online are not involved in the filmmaking decision process.
We would be on Iron Man 55 by now.
We would be on Iron Man 55 with Robert Downey Jr. behind the camera screaming to be released.
Right.
From
making
these
bad movies on purpose.
Yes.
And we wouldn't have had no black characters. So
exactly.
There's that.
So excited for all of the things that the MCU is planning to do with Avengers 5 and 6.
I'm looking forward to it.
I will be in attendance.
Yeah.
It's not like they didn't have anybody else in the world to offer the role of Doom to.
They could have offered
and
it's
anybody. Not like Robert Downey Jr. had nothing else in the world to do. They're clearly
he doesn't have to do anything.
They clearly have a plan. They're trying to tell a specific type of story. Why else would you cast the same hero from the first saga who made the MCU as the big bad of the MCU?
And the creator of Deadpool, I'm blanking on his name at the moment, Rob Liefeld, I think is his name, posted a tweet of the comic where Stark plays a variant of Doctor Doom. Yes. Or either turns into Doctor Doom.
Stark is a variant of Doctor Doom. Reed Richards is a variant of Kang.
Ooh.
There are some comics where...
So you're saying there's a chance that Kang's coming back?
There are some comics where Iron Man, Tony Stark, is a descendant of Kang, and they have to use his knowledge to help them defeat Kang.
Okay.
So this makes total sense.
Whatever leads us back to Wanda.
So Doctor Doom is a sorcerer.
Do it.
Who is
Wait,
an
I want her to
expert?
be
Who's an
bad again.
expert in technology? There is a very legendary comic line where
Okay.
Dr. Doom, after Wanda goes crazy,
Okay.
and
She just
gets
wanted
kicked
kids.
out of the Avengers.
Oh,
She goes off the
poor Wanda.
grid, and during the Children's Crusade, when Wiccan and Speed are looking for their mom, after Agatha helps bring them back to whole bodies, they find out that she's been holed up with Doom.
Just kick kid with Doom, huh?
So maybe she's with
Wanda.
Doom.
Wanda.
That would be comic accurate.
Listen.
That Wanda links up with Doom because he kind of like takes advantage of the fact that she's distraught over what she's done, and she's trying to decide whether or not she's a hero or a villain. Yeah,
Either. I'd take her as either.
Yeah,
Please.
absolutely.
We want her back. But I'm looking forward to how all of this pans out. Avengers 5 and 6 are not coming out until 26 and 27, 2000.
So you haters got 2 years to eat it.
Y'all got 2 years to stew, and then y'all gonna watch it, and then we're gonna get 2 more $1 billion Avengers movies.
I'll see you in the theater with your popcorn and your Coke and your angry face.
Right.
So
cheering, and then you're gonna get back to Twitter like, I hated this, but you really loved it.
So that is all of the news that we have for this week. Let's roll into the trailer park.
Toot. Beep.
Okay, so the first trailer we have for this week is Joker Folie Deux, which is the musical sequel to Joker 1.
Oh, you claiming it as a musical.
Oh, there was plenty of singing and music in it.
They ain't technically said it's a musical, though.
Well, they didn't say that Wicked is a musical.
You're right.
And they didn't say Mean Girls is a musical.
You're right.
So we know the strategy. It's not fooling anybody.
But I don't know if this musical angle gonna work out for Joker too.
This comes out October 4th, 2024. And the trailer is pretty simple to me. It seems like it's kind of like Chicago, which you have not seen.
Right. You chastised me for this previous episode.
Chicago is a musical film where the whole film technically takes place in prison.
Right.
But all of the scenes of them outside of prison are just like narrations of them narrating like
life outside,
their emotions or life outside, or it's just narrating the song.
Okay.
It's kind of like the music videos within a film almost.
Okay.
So I think the whole movie may take place just inside the psychiatric penitentiary where he's being held.
Yeah, and that's what it's given. Although I don't know if I like that, but like, how else are they gonna get out and like not be on the run? So they have to be in one single place.
I think it'll end with them like breaking out because Joker never stays in prison for the rest of his life, and
you wouldn't want that.
That's like a running thing with Gotham, is that Gotham's prisons have a very hard time keeping the supervillains locked up because Batman consistently has to keep
the worst ones
in.
Keep breaking out. Like, y'all ain't figured it out yet.
Any details we got about this film were mostly surrounded around Harley, which is Lady Gaga's character. So they have described Harley Quinn's character, who in the comics is named Harleen Quinzel.
Yep.
And in the comics, she meets the Joker because she is the therapist inside the psychiatric hospital where Joker is being kept.
And she goes a little cuckoo for him.
I'm not sure if it's going to be Arkham Asylum in this.
Why would they change that?
Because they're doing a lot. The whole point of this film is to distance Joker from Batman.
It's called Joker.
Yeah. This is a non-Batman world.
It's called Joker.
And they're doing everything that they can to separate Joker from Batman.
Is this why I ain't see the first one?
And the first one wasn't great, but anyway,
it made $1 billion.
It made $1 billion, but it was strange. I mean, this might be another Twitter thing. Everybody, it made $1 billion, but then everybody went to Twitter and said they regretted seeing it.
I did not understand when this trailer came out. And the trailer's fine. It just gives us a little more of the musical aspect of it. It doesn't really give more plot, I don't think.
No.
But everybody was like, this is gonna bomb because we hated the first one. I was like, who is we?
Yeah. It's strange because everybody went to go see it, and then upon leaving it got an Oscar. Yeah. And then it got middling reviews depending on where you're looking.
And I can't hate on Joker 1 because I didn't see it.
Yeah.
I just wasn't interested.
Everybody spent their money on it and then proclaimed that they regretted watching it.
It's the Lion King effect. The latest Lion King that everybody said they hated is still like the #1 animated movie. Like, it Inside Out ain't quite beat it yet. And I'm like, so who didn't like this movie? Who is we?
I saw Joker 1. I didn't particularly like it because I'm not offended by them going like the mental health route with the
They should have
character.
just not called it Joker.
I'm not interested in a Joker that does not have a Batman, because what makes Joker interesting is his relationship with Batman. Joker is obsessed with Batman. Right. So the fact that you've removed his obsession just doesn't make sense. But,
well, now he's going to be obsessed with Harley.
So anyway, she's not going to be a psychiatrist in this film.
She's also crazy.
She's going to be another inmate. Yep. It seems like she's also not going to be named Harleen Quinzel in this. She's going to be just named Lee.
Oh.
So
Why is this called Joker?
For money, for IP recognition.
It worked because the first one made $1 billion. Okay, so fine.
And according to the directors, they decided to make a conscious decision to go in a separate direction with Harley in this film, to separate her from the Harleen Quinzel in the comics and the other films, just like they separated Joker from the comics and the other films and the Joker films.
I'm very curious about the reception. And I love Joaquin Phoenix. So this ain't got nothing to do, my opinion has nothing to do with Joaquin Phoenix. It's just the whole...
Everybody in this movie are great actors. Yeah. I think Joaquin Phoenix, and I even think Lady Gaga is a pretty decent actress.
I'm curious of the reception of this. It's given off the back of the strength of the first one doing so well.
If they were doing just a follow-up to the first one and making it the same type of film, I would think that it would do pretty decent because of the success of the first film. Right. But I can't call it because this is a musical, and musicals really put people off. Musicals 100% put me off.
Maybe it'll do like gangbusters internationally.
Yeah, like I can be 100% committed to seeing a film, and as soon as I find out it's a musical, I fall completely off because what I don't want to do is hear singing. So
it's a very interesting decision.
I'm interested to have the audience retention for this, because it's, you either like musicals or you don't. Like, one of the two.
And you either like musical superhero movies or the super villain. And
then you're making,
I don't know what you call
you're making a movie that you've already separated from the source material into a musical.
Further. So we're getting even further from the source material.
Yeah. So I don't think this is a movie for fans, but this is a movie for new people who like this type of storytelling in musical form. So,
which ain't a lot.
So
I don't think.
Interested to see that. We will discuss more when it comes out in October.
Right, because we're going to go see it.
Next trailer on the list is for Borderlands. This is a video game adaptation of a film that is going to be coming out August 9th of 2024.
Like 2 weeks.
It has an ensemble cast, which includes Cate Blanchett, Jamie Lee Curtis, Kevin Hart, and Ariana Greenblatt, amongst a bevy of other actors and actresses.
Jack Black does the voicing of the robot.
Yes, Jack Black does the voicing of Claptrap, which didn't stand out in the trailer. Actually, they rethinking about rewatching that trailer. Did we see Claptrap in the trailer?
Yeah, he's in it briefly.
Okay. We did see Claptrap at Comic-Con.
I don't know if he talks, though.
We saw an animatronic Claptrap at Comic-Con, but Jack Black wasn't there, so that was cool.
Right. Well, we actually did a whole Borderlands quote-unquote offsite at a bar where we got free drinks.
Yes.
So that
thanks,
was kind
Borderlands.
of cool.
We'll be seeing you.
The food was out, but we got drinks, so there was that.
So this is another film that looks pretty simple, but it does look fun. It looks a lot more fun than I expected it to look.
The trailer looks better than the first one.
Trailer's better than the teaser.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Agreed.
So what is Borderlands about? You get a ragtag group of misfits who all have different skills on a planet full of psychos.
Guardians of the Galaxy.
But the characters in Borderlands aren't heroes. They're not protecting anything. Their whole mission is to break into a vault for riches.
And Ariana Greenblatt's character is the key to open it seems like, given the trailer.
Yeah, so her character is going to be the key to opening this mystical scientific vault that's located on this planet.
Right.
It follows the story of the games.
Okay.
The games have the same exact storyline. You finish off by breaking into a vault. The trick is that the vault always contains riches, but it always contains some type of giant monster that you have to defeat to get them. So,
little Dungeons and Dragons.
Yeah. So we're just going to get like a planetary adventure full of misfits.
If it's fun, I don't mind it.
Fighting bad guys, breaking into a vault, and then we'll see a big giant monster fight at the end.
If it's like Dungeons and Dragons, I'm sold.
Yeah, and that's
really enjoyed that movie.
I literally tweeted that when I saw it. I said, if they can give me the same feeling I got with Dungeons and Dragons, I will want a sequel for life.
I like Dungeons and Dragons so much, I bought it on Blu-ray.
Still waiting for that sequel.
Please, we need it.
Yeah.
If you don't mind, studios.
Next trailer on the list is for KAOS. This is spelled with a K.
Yeah.
And this is going to premiere on Netflix. It's a series that is coming on August 29th, 2024. It stars Jeff Goldblum as Zeus.
Not a good... Well, Zeus is never good, so...
The trailer was something I did not expect. I expected this to be a comedy because Jeff Goldblum is a comedic actor.
It doesn't give comedy,
it's
though.
A dark comedy.
Yeah.
Very dark.
Like...
We're talking grim.
People dying dark and getting hanged?
So apparently, which is funny, just like Clash of the Titans, Zeus is running into an issue where nobody's praying anymore. Yeah. Nobody believes in the gods or cares for the gods because
the gods up there doing riffraff.
Once again, Zeus was like the worst Greek god out of all of them.
Not a good guy. Pretty trash.
They're not doing anything for their followers. So the followers are stopping.
Revolting.
They no longer believe in the Greek gods. And they do this in a lot of like Greek god stories where Greek gods get their powers from the amount of belief that their subordinates have in them. And when
their juice.
When that wanes, they start to get weaker. So it seems like Jeff Goldblum's goal is to make people fear him enough into believing it.
It's like he wants them to pay for not praying to them. So like a war pops off between humans and gods, and it's not pretty. No. It's kind of like dark, like The Boys. Yeah,
it seems like he wants to show humanity a lesson for no longer worshiping him.
Yeah,
which is interesting. It looks like Jeff Goldblum's gonna be full villain.
Yeah.
And I'm interested to see that. It looks bloody, violent. He says some curse words.
Yeah.
This is I haven't seen this type of Jeff Goldblum since The Fly.
It is giving rated R, guys.
So but that makes me more and more interested in it. I was interested in looking at it when I thought it was just going to be like a light comedy show about like a goofy Jeff Goldblum playing a Zeus character who's like going up against people who are trying to oppose him. But
it looked like it'll be funny, but not like ha ha he funny.
Right.
Like, oh, this is so light and airy.
Good production value though. It looks colorful. It looks
okay, sure.
It looks well acted. There were some comedic notes in the trailer.
There were
that didn't really hit for me, and I think that was because I was so taken aback by the amount of violence that I didn't expect to be in this show.
Oh, okay. Your brain was still processing the destruction that you were seeing in the trailer.
But I will say that Greek stuff I always find interesting. I'm one of those people who were in school whenever we got to the Greek section of social studies or history. I was super interested. Like Zeus and all of those fake people. I loved hearing all about their stories and their exploits and how different and nuanced they were. So
it'll be a modern take on it for sure.
Yeah.
I'm sure. Yeah.
So I will take a look at it and maybe we'll discuss the first episode.
Sure.
When it comes out.
It looks interesting enough to at least catch it and see where they're going with it.
Yeah. Something I probably won't be discussing and doesn't look interesting is our next bullet point. This is for
Jeez, tell us how you feel.
DC's Creature Commandos. So we got a teaser for DC's Creature Commandos.
Because they didn't have no Comic-Con panel. They just sent a trailer over.
So this is going to be the first product that comes from James Gunn's new DC Studios.
Yes.
It is going to be an animated series that is going straight to HBO Max streaming. Yes. It's going to come out in December 2024, but we don't have an official date in December.
Right. Which is an odd release date.
Maybe they're just trying to figure out, they're just trying to decide placement because there's a lot of stuff that's happening in December this year.
I just don't know if you put a new show out in December, but I guess that's not too far from like January where Severance is coming out, but Severance has a built-in like fan base.
Honestly, because it's this show, I just don't think it matters. And I'm not a DC hater. I'm actually excited to see what James Gunn's going to do with DC. I'm excited for Superman based on the set photos that we got and how everybody looks. I think Mr. Terrific looks great. And I'm interested in seeing him and his action sequences. I
am indifferent in DC. I will say for this particular trailer, I love that Amanda Waller's in it. But as soon as they started like showing the splash pages for each of the characters, I was checked out. So I actually don't care about these characters. More Amanda, please.
Here's the thing about the Creature Commandos. It's basically just a Frankenville version of the Suicide Squad.
That's what it's giving.
Which we've seen 3 times. So I'm going to skip it because I've seen this movie in live action twice. I don't need to see the animated version of it. I don't care about these characters, whether they transition from the animated to live action or not, because I think that's the plan. He said, it's all continuous. The animated, the video games, and the live action shows are all going to be
keeping up with all of that. Timeline. I'm not keeping up with no video games.
I'm tired of the Suicide Squad stories.
We about to get Thunderbolts though.
I know, but at least it's a different set of characters and a different property. Yeah. This is the third go around in the same place.
Fair enough.
So,
but you don't think it being animated reinvigorates your interest?
No.
Okay.
Because it's like I've seen this movie before. You know what this reminds me of?
What?
This looks like the Watchmen animated movie that's coming out, where it's like we've seen the Watchmen, Zack Snyder's Watchmen film already. Yeah. And you're making an animated version that's supposed to be different, but it looks the exact same.
Yeah, so this is just a weird animalistic version of the Suicide Squad. I'm here for Amanda Waller, so I'll just wait till her stuff come around for DC. That's the only TV show I'm watching.
I think DC has told this type of story too much, so I'm gonna skip it, and my start will be Superman. Legacy.
Yeah, I'm not really super interested in any of the TV shows, unless it's Amanda Waller show.
Yeah, because I think the only thing TV wise they got going on right now is this and Peacemaker. Sidebar, because now we're talking about Peacemaker.
Yeah,
Joel Kinnaman will be returning.
You showed me that tweet.
Season 2. That's exciting because I did enjoy Rick Flag's turnaround.
That's who should have had a series.
Well, because they killed him.
Why though? You know what? I hated that movie because they killed Rick Flag, and I was like, that was the person. Anywho,
and it's funny because
I'm going on a tangent.
I did not care for Rick Flag in the first Suicide Squad.
Nobody cared for the first Suicide Squad.
I really liked his character turnaround in the second one.
Though he was the highlight, even though Idris was in it, he was the highlight for me in that movie.
Yeah,
and then they killed him, and I was like, I wasted my time.
That's a testament of good writing and directing. So I think that they should have taken that page and just continued with Rick Flag, just resuscitated him or something.
Maker a series. I was so confused.
So excited to see Joel Kinnaman back as Rick Flag. I'll watch all of his clips in the show, but I probably won't watch the show.
I was gonna say, well, you let me know how it is because I'm not going through Peacemaker season 2.
And as far as Creature Commandos, y'all tell me how it ends.
I'll read about it. Maybe if I need to, if it's a prerequisite for other things, I'll read about it. Yes. If not, act like it don't exist.
Whoever's in charge, load up that wiki.
Thank you.
Last stop on the trailer park is a fun one. This is going to be for Penguin, which has had a very eventful week here at Comic-Con.
Indeed.
We have been staying at the Marriott Courtyard in downtown San Diego, coming to you live around the corner from where the Iceberg Lounge that hosted the Penguin Offsite has caught fire.
It caught fire. So there's a...
it's been burning for 4 hours now.
Right. There's a 2-day offsite. It started yesterday. It's going on also right now.
Yes.
And the opening night was yesterday. And during the press preview of it caught on fire.
Yes.
Like the AC unit caught on fire, so they had to shut the whole thing down.
So for hours we had to listen to fire trucks blaring down the street.
And it was funny because people were like, "Oh, is this part of the offsite?" And people were like, "No, I don't think they would pay for all these fire trucks to come down here."
You could see the smoke from across the pier.
Right. We couldn't smell it though, which was very interesting.
And it's funny because for a very, very, very long time, people weren't sure whether or not this was just a stunt to drum up hype for the show.
They were like, "Oh, is this part of the show?" And people were like,
"Somebody's like, is it Batman setting fires to the roof of
Iceberg Lounge?" All types of jokes, y'all. And we like, did anybody die? Let's be serious for a second.
Luckily, everybody was evacuated. No one was harmed, and they were able to get the fire put out. And I think the Iceberg Lounge is back open.
Yeah, they opened it last night. They just delayed the opening, so it must not have been too bad because they had people back in there the same night.
Hopefully, it drove up the numbers for viewing on the trailer.
It might have, because they also had a panel this morning. Right before they were the panel before Marvel. Mm-hmm. So Colin Farrell phoned it in via Zoom or whatever they used to do a panel with Matt Reeves, who was in person.
Right.
So to promote the show. And out of that, they released a new trailer.
Right. So in this trailer, we pretty much pick up where we left off after the end of the Batman.
I think it's a year later.
It looks like,
I think they said.
So it looks like Gotham has dried off after the floods.
It ain't wet no more.
But it's still dirty. So
it ain't never not going to be dirty.
You didn't miss much. If anything, it's dirtier because of seawater.
Right.
But
dusty.
Anyway, Carmine Falcone is dead.
R.I.P.
At the end of Batman. Well,
not R.I.P.
I guess the beginning of the third act of The Batman, they killed Carmine Falcone.
Mm-hmm.
So there's a gap in mob leadership in Gotham. And
typical.
Oswald Cobblepot, aka the Penguin, is trying to slip in and take control. He has to deal with Sal Maroni.
Sal Maroni and Sophia Falcone.
Yes, Sal Maroni and Sophia Falcone, who are both reaching for power in this struggle.
It's given very regular plot line.
Yeah, it looks very straightforward. It looks like Penguin's either going to have to team up with Sal Maroni's daughter, or he's going to have to like secretly go against her and take her down. Yeah. I did like the angle that they've made her like crazy.
Yeah, she is rehabilitated from Arkham. Yes. And you're like, oh, you was in Arkham?
Yes.
Like not the grocery store, but the jail facility. So she's cuckoo for Cocoa Pops.
Yeah. So the first trailer made her seem like a wallflower, which I was skeptical about.
You didn't like that.
I do not like the wallflower version of her. I like the strong, stoic version that's soft, but you got to watch your back around her because she might break your neck.
The comic version of her looks quite intimidating.
And it looks like that they've kept that faithful, but she's just going to be a small lady.
She don't look like Kingpin.
Right. She doesn't look like Kingpin.
She's like a real little person.
So I'm excited about that. I will probably take a look at the first few episodes of this and see if it maintains my interest, but I'm not too committed yet.
No, and I like Colin Farrell. And
he was really good in the role.
Really good as Penguin. He still sounds like Colin Farrell more now underneath all the makeup, but I don't know. I'm not sold completely of being interested because, like you said, like Joker is interesting because of Batman, and now we have another Batman villain with no Batman. Like I don't know if I care that much.
And to add to that, so two things. One, the production value looks pretty good, but it does look like it's just a notch below film. Which
WB said they ain't got no money, so sure.
That's true. I don't want to compare with too many shows, but once again, Star Wars is still leading the race in production value between movie and television.
Yeah, you're right. They look good. Star Wars shows look good.
They almost look indistinguishable, and it's just strange how they've been consistent with it, and nobody seems to be able to grasp that.
Even between their own properties,
even the MCU.
Bro, I was gonna say, even between like Star Wars and Marvel, it's like there's a couple things in Marvel movies. The most recent one we just saw, it was kind of like, who fell asleep at the CGI wheel here?
Right.
But anywho.
But production has confirmed that the finale of The Penguin and the beginning of Batman 2 will have a 1 week time jump. So they point out that you should not have revealed that, because what that basically means is that everything that we see the Penguin build up in the show, we're going to watch Batman tear down immediately in the next film. So
as he should.
Because he's Batman. And he wins. So yeah, we're absolutely going to watch Batman take all of his stuff down again.
But have they said who's the villain? We don't know who the villain is in Batman 2 yet, right?
We don't know who the villain is in Batman 2.
That's not even coming out for another 2026.
Yeah, now the scoopers who lie a lot have been saying that it may
they gotta eat. What else are they supposed to do?
It may be like Clayface or Mr. Freeze.
I don't believe nothing they say now.
Matt Reeves did say that he would be interested in taking on a Mr. Freeze type of story. Okay. I'm interested to see how they'll pull that off. Are we just going to dive straight into it now? Their supernatural forces. I was
going to say, because Batman, his version of Batman, the villain is just, regular dude with problems. Mm-hmm. And Mr. Freeze needs to be like freezy. Yeah. So
and
how they going to do that?
I'm okay with that. Dive into supernatural. We've had a super realistic Batman with Christian Bale. Once again, just like we were saying about the MCU, you don't have to keep making the same movie over for eternity.
Yeah, and I feel like Matt Reeves' Batman and Christopher Nolan's Batmans are different, and that's fine. I enjoyed them both.
And Matt Reeves' Batman did a great job at setting a tone.
Yes.
So I'm okay with throwing some supernatural elements into this.
Please, let's
go for it. Go for broke.
Put some seasoning on it. It's fine.
All of Batman's iconic villains have supernatural abilities.
Yeah, so are they gonna do somebody just, regular like a Bane again?
You just gonna have a man in a suit throwing ice cubes at people? No.
Right. He's going to put you in a freezer, like
Yes.
a literal freezer, and leave you there. That's his superpower. He has freezers.
The Penguin will be premiering on HBO and HBO Max on September 19th. I think this is just going straight to HBO proper first because this is part of their whole restructuring thing.
They're trying to bring back HBO.
Nobody's paying for cable anymore. So they're trying to drive people back to the HBO channel.
WB is really just a mess.
Making bad decisions with no money to make those decisions.
They just need to cut Homeboy's salary and they have all the money in the world, but that's another topic for another podcast.
All right, that's the end of the trailer talk. Let's dive into this Buncha Crunch.
Okay, so first bites of crunch is that Steve Caple Jr. is in talks to direct I Am Legend 2.
Nice.
And if you're like, I don't know who that is, he directed the most recent Transformers movie, which, before you try to say something, I actually enjoyed. People might be like, I don't know, that wasn't good. Did you even go watch it?
People really did.
People
enjoy
need to
Transformers:
go watch.
Rise of Beasts, and even since
I feel like it got done dirty at the box office.
Since the inception of the live action Transformers, people have been asking for the animal versions of them. Yeah, and this definitely served them up. It didn't give the animal versions enough.
It wasn't like it wasn't as good as the first set of Transformers movies. Let me take it back. The first 1 and 2, because that third one was not good. But I enjoyed Transformers.
It was different.
Right.
It's weird. It was the same but different.
Yes.
It was different enough that it made it interesting. And the best part about it is where it left the characters off.
Right.
The end credit stinger was the G.I. Joe crossover announcement.
Right. So I feel like he's a good director. I like that he's getting a shot at another big movie, not just, something. He's going from something big to something big.
Yeah.
I like that.
And to add fuel to the fire, it got a 91% audience score on Rotten Tomatoes. And I just want to bring that up because now audience scores matter again.
Here we
because
go.
Deadpool and Wolverine came out.
Yeah.
And critics gave it an 80 and audiences gave it a 97. And now all of a sudden audience scores matter the most. So let's take that into account when we talk about Transformers Rise of the Beast.
Other movie that has a good...
Every other movie, like The Marvels, which got fantastic audience scores and low critic scores.
Die on a hill. One of my cosplays, go check out our Instagram page because we posted pictures. I cosplayed as Monica Rambeau. That's how much I love The Marvels.
Yes, and she got recognized several times.
Don't get me on that soapbox.
The Marvels is beloved. The Marvels is beloved by actual people who actually pay to go actually see the films. The Marvel is not beloved by people who don't pay for films,
check marks,
but do pay $14.99 to Elon Musk to talk.
Listen, so this director Steve Caple also directed Creed 2. So he's got good stuff under his belt, and I hope he does direct I Am Legend 2.
Absolutely. And I did not see Creed 2, but without Creed 2 there wouldn't have been a Creed 3,
which I did go see.
And I did see Creed 1, and Creed 3 got rave reviews.
Roland Emmerich says that the Independence Day 3 story, Independence Day, I was like, Day 3? Nope, it's late, y'all. Independence Day 3 story is complete. Another factoid from Comic-Con, we sat on a panel with Antoine Fuqua and Roland Emmerich. It was called Directors on Directing, and basically they talked about different parts of their career, different movies, working with different actors, and Roland Emmerich was one of them. So that was pretty cool. He's funny. He is quite a hilarious guy.
Yes, Roland Emmerich is funny.
Actually, yeah, and unintentionally funny though.
Yes.
Which made the panel quite interesting and entertaining. I'm glad we sat in on that.
Yeah.
I don't know if we need an Independence Day 3.
It hasn't been picked up by a studio, but he did say that he did write it.
But sure.
Give it to him.
I'll watch it. Yeah. He also did Moonfall.
He did The Patriot too. So
he'll
always be Roland Emmerich.
He also did Independence Day. So he got
2012. He's the king of disaster films. Godzilla.
Right. The Godzilla I like.
Yes, the Godzilla we like. Even though it's not the best Godzilla.
I don't care.
And it's not my favorite Godzilla.
I like it.
I love it. It's fun. It's a great comfort film for me.
I feel like I used to have that on D tape. Maybe.
On VHS, absolutely.
Yeah.
In the sleeve.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So We'll see if that ever comes into fruition.
Yeah. Independence Day 2 ended a little goofy, but
I don't remember.
Independence Day 1, it will always be iconic. It will always be legendary and famous.
Hello.
So whenever I see Independence Day on the cover of something, whether it be a 1 or 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 or 6, I'm
probably going to oh, wait. You said 5 or 6. That might be too much.
Listen, we aren't allowed to live in a world where we get 10 Fast and Furious, but we then put a cap on an Independence Day film.
You're right.
There's no justice in that.
4 of those Fast and Furious didn't need to make it to the screen, but I get your point.
They made it.
I get
it's
your
too
point.
late to take them back.
I get your point. I'm on your side.
Next scoop of crunch is another film announcement, King Spawn, which is a Spawn reboot that is going to go into pre-production. This is going to be a comic book adaptation of the Todd McFarlane Spawn comic book series. We aren't sure if it's still going to be tied to Jamie Foxx or not.
You're right. That was a thing.
This was announced like 5 years ago. Yes, like
this is like
long time ago.
Pre-Blade, like timeline.
Right. Maybe the Iceberg Lounge is on fire again. We're taking brief pauses because we can hear more fire trucks going down the street.
San Diego is popping tonight.
Comic-Con
not in a good way.
has really got the city on fire. Jamie Foxx was originally announced to be the new Spawn like 20 years ago, and then this has kind of just been stuck in development.
Now, I saw that Jason Blumhouse announced this.
Jason Blum, who is the owner of Blumhouse. His last name is in Blumhouse.
Y'all knew who I was talking about.
Okay.
So is this going to be like horror-esque?
Spawn has always been like
creepy.
The creepy superhero.
Darker. Gross.
In the direction of Hellboy, but darker.
The original Spawn with Michael J. White, I can't.
It's still off-putting.
That's the word. That's the perfect word for it.
People have a real intense fear of clowns, and clowns is like the main foil antagonist of the Spawn franchise. So he did a really good clown villain film, but the movie definitely put people off because of the graphic nature of it.
But it was so much.
But I love it. It wasn't well received by audiences or critics, but I think over time it's become a cult classic.
I would agree
Michael J. White has become legendary for that. Michael J. White owns Spawn kind of in the same vein as like Wesley Snipes' Blade.
You're right.
In that way.
There's no disagreement there.
So if it's Michael J. White again, I'm fine with that.
Also, I would support it. I don't know if I would watch it.
Spawn is only a human for a little bit before he's like horribly disfigured and put in the suit all the time.
So bad.
He can absolutely be Michael J. White. Michael J. White is still is an actual real life stuntman and martial artist.
Yep, and actor.
So and a good actor.
Why not?
So absolutely.
Sure, grab him, snatch him up.
So I'm interested in seeing. Give me a trailer.
Oh yeah.
And
don't scare me.
Who's gonna be the clown?
I don't want it. I don't want the clown.
The last bit of tidbit for King Spawn is that they're currently on the hunt for a director.
That's going to be extremely important. Get Fade. Sure, why not?
Oh, wow. Yeah, get Fade.
Speaking of Fade, since we already rolling into Comic-Con things that we did, we sat so after the directors on directing panel, we sat on a panel for Alien Romulus.
Yeah, so we got to see Fade Alvarez and
the whole cast. The whole cast was there, y'all. Except one. There was one actress who was not there. They didn't say why she wasn't there, but they said that, she couldn't make it for a good reason. Great panel. We got like 3 different scenes from the movie.
Yes.
And the whole time I was like, this, because it looks spectacular.
It looks amazing. I definitely trust Fede Alvarez's vision. He has a good. He doesn't have a long filmography, but he's got a good one. He's done Don't Breathe. He did the Evil Dead reboot.
I didn't see that either.
He's really in love with practical effects.
Yeah.
You can tell the commitment and the love for practical effects in the footage that we saw. We got full-length chest burster scenes.
Yeah.
We got action-packed scenes with some synthetics, some face huggers. We got a new. We got a new phase in the xenomorph growth stage. So it now transitions from like chest burster. It sheds its little husk, and now it forms like a little egg-like cocoon where it holds up in until it grows to full size.
It goes from egg to xenomorph, and it looks nasty and good. It looks nasty and good, y'all.
Nasty and good and horrible. Little details that Folie gave about the film.
Yeah.
This is going to be set between Alien 1 and 2.
Yep.
It will be its own separate story, so you don't have to have seen the other two. I don't think the story is going to be tied to Aliens 1 or 2. But it's just set in the universe in that time. He made
it a point to say you do not have to have seen all the other Alien movies, but if you have, then that's great.
Yeah, and I'm excited about that use of practical effects. And this is going to be, he described it as the first film in the Aliens franchise where the cast of characters are people who have close relationships. It's kind of like a siblinghood. In the other Aliens films, they're either like co-workers or
friends from work.
Or prisoners, or in the military.
Right.
So
voluntold.
There's going to be more of an emotional weight on this because it's going to be like characters that you fall in love with that you're sad to see die. And,
right.
And their characters will be sad to see their cast members die. So.
And he said they filmed it chronologically. So in the movie, as the characters die, and obviously my bet is on everybody in this dies. But as the characters died, the actor had to leave the set. So it kind of felt in real life kind of sad because the person was gone. So that kind of added to like the emotional beats of them acting in the movie. So,
and I'm interested to see how that plays out in the filming.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
If that enhances like how the characters are able to like give like their emotions behind some of the character deaths.
Right. And as a bonus, we got swag. We got face hugger mask as swag at the panel. So
yes, and we got free IMAX upgrades to see it in IMAX when it comes out.
So shout out to the Alien Romulus panel for giving out some good swag at Comic-Con.
Because of the free upgrade, we will suffer through the Alien IMAX screaming.
Y'all know
because
we
AMC IMAX seats suck. They are the worst. They are the worst seats. At least here,
better.
At least where we are,
Columbus, Ohio.
They don't even recline.
I'm calling it out.
They pack you in there like a can of sardines.
The seats don't even lean, and you don't even get a tray for your food. No. I don't understand how this ticket costs.
You gotta put your popcorn on your knees.
$25, and I don't get a tray for my food.
Like
but
a caveman.
I'm gonna get off that soapbox because that is not why we are here today.
I'm kicking over the soapbox. I'm angry.
AMC,
you make so much money with stubs. Do better.
Right. Thank you for the upgrade, Folie. But AMC,
no beef on Foday's head.
AMC East and get your life together.
Last scoop in the Buncha Crunch pile is Chris Hemsworth will be producing and starring in a film called The Corsair Code at Apple Studios. So this is going to be another $21 billion production that Apple will put out and not advertise at all, and then complain that nobody went to go see it.
Yep. And then say they're gonna slash the TV budget. Like, well, maybe you should stop making $200 million movies that people are not seeing. Killers of the Flower Moon, Napoleon, and maybe you should market like y'all do the iPhones.
Good for Chris Hemsworth, though. It looks like his luck is turning around. He's getting rave reviews from the Transformers movie that's going to be coming out into theaters. People have really taken well to his version of Optimus Prime. Somebody, a critic who saw the film, described it as he is Optimus Prime. No disrespect to Peter Cullen, I guess.
Okay,
let's slow down a little bit. Peter Cullen has been Optimus Prime.
Let's keep our pants on, guys.
For the past 200 years. So let's relax about that. Let's just say he's a good Optimus Prime.
Right, but people were very
I love Chris Hemsworth.
Right,
but
there was a preview of the whole movie somewhere more recently, and people came out and said one of the best Transformer movies ever.
It's a love letter to the fans. So I'm excited about that.
Okay, I didn't get all that from the trailer, but y'all saw the movie and I haven't yet, so sure.
The Transformers films have been doing well. They've made so much money, but one of the main complaints fans have had of the Transformers films is that they don't stick to the lore enough.
Oh, I don't know enough of the lore to be bothered, I guess.
But this one looks like it's gonna stick pretty close to like our original recipe Transformers. So good for the fans of like that, hardcore fans of Transformers. I'm only like a passerby fan of the Transformers.
I'm gonna want them fans to show up to the movie theaters. How about that? Because it's not gonna matter if y'all don't show up to go see this movie.
The good thing about this is that Transformers film looks like it's marketed for kids, so they're dipping even deep, because the other Transformers films are PG-13.
Yeah, but they cuss in this one.
They do, but it's animated. So they also curse in Shrek, and kids love Shrek.
I was gonna say,
so
the cuss words are still cuss words when they're animated, but
they
fine.
are. But fine. Hey,
people took their kids to go see Deadpool, and it's rated R. So whatever.
Anyway, the Chris Hemsworth film, The Corsair Code, is going to be described as a high-octane sci-fi mystery adventure. Those are the only details we have for it so far. Apple barely tells us about the things that they put out when it's put out, so why would they give us details about the things that they're planning?
Chris Hemsworth gonna promote his own stuff, so we'll hear about it from him.
Chris Hemsworth has a wife and kids to feed.
Hello?
So much so that he puts them in his projects when he can.
Multiple kids.
Everybody at the Hemsworth farm eats.
Hello?
Also,
it's a family affair, and I ain't mad at it.
In addition to him being successful in the upcoming Transformers film and working with Apple Studios on this, he did say that he is currently in the process. Well, they are not. I don't know if he's actually holding a pencil, but they are currently in the process of writing on Extraction 3.
Good.
And when the story is finished, they will have more details to give us. I am super excited about that. The Extraction films are
good TV.
Very good. Very good.
Highly
quality.
Recommend. Mm-hmm. We did a review on that in case you're curious.
It's actually
scroll back a little bit.
It's actually a miscarriage of justice that the Extraction films will never be theatrical releases.
Because Netflix.
Netflix should be kicking themselves.
Although they could do this one like they're doing Green Onion, Glass Onion.
They should.
What's the Glass Onion? Knives Out. There it is. I was like, what is that franchise called? How they put it in theater for like a week or two. Actually, they put Knives Out 1 in theaters, but they didn't do it for Knives Out 2. It was only out for like a week.
They gave it a limited theater release for Glass Onion. Knives
Out,
I think, had a full theatrical.
It did. And they need to go. Now, all of the 2 Extraction movies have never been in a theater, but I feel like they could turn a page for the 3rd one because they're good movies.
And this is it's great marketing. You get people to watch 1 and 2 because it's already on streaming and they're already paying for the streaming service. And then you make them go to the theater, pay premium screen prices, Netflix. You roll in the box office.
Are you listening?
And you still put it on Netflix. So you've got the same box office money from viewers and you're getting their subscription money. Hire me.
Listen,
at least marketing.
At least as like, a business analyst, I could do that.
People love dumb action popcorn flicks that are like hyper violent, that have good actors that are recognizable.
Exactly. And Idris Elba was in the last one, and it sounds like the way the second one ended, he's gonna be much more in the 3rd one.
Which
so it's
means y'all need that money.
Yes.
So
please
go ahead and put it in theater so y'all can pay the people what they need to be paid.
Thor and Heimdall need to be in Extraction 3 on the big screen.
I need to see a good one-take action sequences
for 25 minutes
with Chris Hemsworth and Idris Elba fighting side by side.
Hello.
Beating people with, what was he beating people with in the last one? A brick?
It was a brick or a chair.
Literally anything within arm's reach, he would beat your face in with.
Potato masher.
I loved it.
So. It was Extraction 1 and 2 are good, is what we saying, and we want to see 3 in the theater.
So I'm excited to see. So Chris Hemsworth got this. He got Transformers. He got Extraction. You know he gonna be in Secret Wars because he ain't dead.
And he was good in Furiosa, which y'all also didn't go see. But you can probably go see it at your local digital store now.
And he said that he's absolutely down for another Thor. And I think that they could do another Thor because I think that they struck gold with Ragnarok.
Yeah.
They waned a little bit with Love and Thunder. I liked Love and Thunder.
Everybody said they hated, but it made like 800, 700.
I liked Love and Thunder, especially when you find out what the Love and Thunder was about.
Favorite part of the movie. My favorite part of the movie.
So the love is still there. They can absolutely give Thor.
Also, we need our Thor and Loki reunion. Like outside of Wanda, I need Loki and Thor back together.
And they've already broken the rule of 3, which is, usually they do a trilogy.
Yeah, and then
once you do the 4th, then it's like more likely that you'll do a 5th and a 6th because you'll do a new trilogy after that.
Yeah, so. If anything, they'll probably put him and somebody else together.
I could see Thor 6.
Yeah. We're 5.
We're only 2 films away.
Oh, okay. You're just saying.
I can absolutely see.
Make
Thor
it a 6.
Give Thor 2 trilogies.
All right. If they get, I ain't mad at it.
Boom, boom.
Do it.
All right, so that is the end of the news, Trailer Park, and Buncha Crunch for this episode. We are going to take a quick break, and then we're going to get into our movie review of the week, which is Deadpool and Wolverine.
This week we watched Deadpool and Wolverine. We finally got a Marvel movie, y'all. It's been so long. It was released today, which is July 26, 2024. It was directed by Sean Levy, who has also directed the Night at the Museum movies, Date Night, Free Guy, and several episodes of Stranger Things.
Yes.
So he's got quite a few filmographies and TV shows.
We really enjoyed Free Guy. We watched it before we were podcasting, but we really had a good time watching it.
It was a surprise hit for us, I think I would say. So the cast and characters of this movie include, if it's not obvious, Ryan Reynolds as Deadpool.
Yes.
Hugh Jackman as the Wolverine. Emma Corrin as Cassandra Nova. Marina Baccarin is back as Vanessa, so she's in this.
Yeah, everybody in his birthday
Rob
party.
Delaney's back as Peter.
Yeah.
Leslie Uggams is back as Blind Owl. And then I'm gonna stop there. I'm not gonna say anything else about who else is in this movie.
Colossus is in this movie as well. Negasonic Teenage Warhead and Yukio from the previous other two Deadpool movies. So it's pretty much anybody who was in the last Deadpool movies that didn't die, minus Domino.
Oh, you're right. She's not in this.
She's missing from this.
I guess she wouldn't have fit though. Yeah.
No, this movie had enough people in it.
Agree. Okay, so that is our cast of characters, and we'll stop. We won't say anybody else from here on. Runtime of 2 hours and 7 minutes. The budget is $200 million, which is nothing for Marvel movies these days. That's about how much they run.
That's where it starts.
Box office. So we are recording on a Friday. We typically record on Saturday. So final numbers for opening day are not out yet, but we do have some numbers for the previews. So Thursday night previews, 38.5 million one day previews, which is an all-time record for an R-rated movie domestically. So if you're curious of how it's doing at the box office, pretty darn well. It's
and for some additional context,
yes,
so
please.
For Deadpool 1, they made $12.7 million.
So over double
for preview night.
Deadpool 1.
And then Deadpool 2, they made 18.6. So they increased a little bit from Deadpool 1 to 2.
So it's almost like triple and then double.
Yeah, so it's triple from the first Deadpool.
Woo.
Yeah, so this is growth. This is the type of growth that you want to see in a franchise.
Kevin Feige, yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So potentially it could gross, is projected to gross 200 million domestically. I'm sorry, 200 million worldwide, which is huge. For a movie opening weekend, it has already earned $100 million worldwide at the box office. So it's already made back half his budget, just from previews. And then it could make its whole budget back, not including marketing, in the opening weekend. So we'll see. It's doing pretty good. Ratings wise, cinema score is an A, which is the same as Deadpool 1 and 2. So the Deadpool franchise officially has AAAs for all its cinema score, which is no easy feats.
Yeah.
And Rotten Tomatoes, we have critic score of 79 and an audience score of 97. So which perfectly matches the cinema score.
Yeah.
I mean, the cinema score could have been an A+, and I would have been like, that matches.
Well, I expected it
with
to be.
We were saying A- or A+.
Yeah, we knew it was going to be in the A.
In
realm.
the A's,
like, there was no way it was going to be below A.
And if you were curious, there's nothing bad about it.
No.
Deadpool is tracking excellently with, is that a word?
Yeah.
Yeah, sure. With the audience, critics mostly like it. Some critics were kind of saying they didn't love it, and it's just a fan service movie. It is, and we as fans had a good time.
The critics that don't like it are pretty much saying the same thing, which is that it's light on plot and heavy on everything else that you would expect Deadpool to be heavy on, which is jokes and additional characters.
So yeah, it's funny because when movies are considered fan service, critics are like, it's just fan service, and then fans are like, it's fan service.
Yeah, this movie was advertised as a cameo fest.
Yeah.
And that was the focus.
And we didn't know what all the cameos were.
Right. That was the focus. It was going to be a cameo fest. They followed through on giving us cameos, and that is why it made the amount of money it made, and that is why it got the cinema score that it got. So
right. All right. So do you want to summarize the plots of here Deadpool and Wolverine?
Sure. So the plot of Deadpool and Wolverine is pretty simple. Deadpool has been tasked with a special mission by the TVA, the same TVA that we are familiar with in Loki.
Yes,
but just some different characters that we didn't see in Loki.
New people in the TVA. Yes.
So he's been recruited by the TVA to complete a special mission. And the risk is that if he does not succeed at the mission, his timeline will be destroyed. And Deadpool thinks that the only person who can assist him in being successful is Wolverine.
And we can't get to why because that's technically a spoiler.
Right.
I feel like. So, yeah. Very good synopsis, sir. Yeah. Let's talk about who we liked and who we didn't like, non-spoilery.
Sure.
In this here film.
So, who I liked and who I didn't like, non-spoilery. Spoilery. I pretty much liked everybody.
Yeah, I was gonna say.
It's the same cast that you get from the Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2. So you have the same 3 X-Men characters, Colossus, Negasonic Teenage Warhead, and Yukio.
But they're not in that this much.
No, but we do get some scenes with them.
Yeah.
We still have Vanessa. I've always liked Vanessa.
I do.
I've always liked Blind Owl. We get the same amount of Blind Owl that we get in every other movie.
Yeah.
So Blind Owl is not missing.
Nope, and we still like him.
I still enjoy Blind Owl. I still enjoy Peter. And of course, Deadpool. Deadpool is hilarious. I think this is the best Deadpool has been.
He was very well. Whoever did the lines and jokes and you deserve a raise.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Deadpool's jokes in this one felt more well written and less shtick. Less improv. If it was improv, then he's really improved on his improv.
He did some practice,
which wasn't bad. But the jokes, every joke in Deadpool 1, I was cool with. I thought they were funny. Deadpool 2 is when it got kind of wonky, when not every joke kind of landed for me. But this one, every bit of comedy pretty much hit exactly how it was supposed to.
This is a pretty funny movie.
This is the best Deadpool character has been written in the films. And then the other character we have obviously is Logan, returning
Hugh Jackman
as Wolverine. Hugh Jackman. Loved Hugh Jackman. This is not the same Wolverine that we get from, this is a different Wolverine.
This is not Logan Wolverine.
Yeah, because we're in the multiverse.
Wolverine's Logan, whatever you want to say.
And they've been pretty clear in the marketing with that. Because this is a multiverse. This Wolverine is Hugh Jackman, but it's not. It's a variant that we have never seen before.
Correct.
So I was worried going into it that I would not like this portrayal of Wolverine because it's a different one. But I really enjoyed this Wolverine. Yeah. Wasn't that much different than the other Wolverines. The circumstance that he was in changed, but it's the same Wolverine that we have come to know and love in all the films.
Right.
I loved Hugh Jackman.
Yeah.
I loved that he was able to get right back into the role.
He ain't scared no beats.
He was also funny. Yes. And it was refreshing to see him with a different character.
Besides the X-Men.
Besides the X-Men. So it was refreshing to see him with a different character. And it was more of like a, not buddy cop because they're cops, but it was like a buddy.
Tag team? A tag team that don't want to be a tag team.
Like a tag team movie.
One of them was a kind of unwilling participant.
Yeah.
Got roped along under false pretenses situation.
Yeah. It was a buddy movie, and I liked seeing that. I liked seeing the Wolverine in that kind of movie. So I liked everybody.
I also liked everybody. I will give a little notch up to Ryan Reynolds for his Deadpool portrayal. Yeah. And we said this before, I'll take Red Notice, my favorite movie I love to hate. Too much stick from Mr. Reynolds in that. And I was very concerned that he was going to bring all that stick over from the Red Notice 2 sequel that they probably working on and put it into this. And he didn't. He was more, I feel like he was more Deadpool in this than any other Deadpool movie.
Yeah.
And he literally blended into fully Deadpool, and some people might be like, well, he did that the first 2 movies. It was a little too much Ryan shtick in the last one. And this one, it was perfectly, either he totally did away with it or it was perfectly balanced. Yeah. Either way, it worked.
Yeah. The Deadpool 1 and Deadpool 2 had better plot writing.
Yeah.
This one had better character writing.
Okay. So I would agree with that.
I liked the lines and the dialogue that they gave Deadpool. The fourth wall breaks all hit for me in this one.
Chemistry was good between Deadpool and Wolverine. So Ryan and Hugh had the marketing. they've been on a marketing run where it looks like they basically BFFs. They're not BFFs in the movies, but the chemistry they have in terms of like being able to play off each other, very good.
Yeah.
Very good. Yeah.
Outside of their abilities, they're like polar opposites. Like
right.
Deadpool is like super chatty and energetic, and Wolverine is constantly over it.
Understatement.
So I think that worked very well. Yeah.
Right. And I agree with you also on Hugh Jackman. I like this version of Wolverine. Like you said, it's the same, but it's a different little twist because this Wolverine had been through some things. But Hugh it's almost as if it hasn't been years and years since we've seen Hugh Jackman.
No, yeah.
So he plays the emotional beats well. He plays, and he's not trying, like Logan, whatever you call him, is not trying to be funny.
No.
He just has scenes where it's funny, and it doesn't feel forced, or it doesn't feel like you said, the writing is good, so everything kind of rolls off everybody's tongue real well, and all the scenes kind of click. So yeah, everybody did good. I also will highlight Emma Corrin. Is it Corrin or Cor?
I think it's just Corrin.
Okay.
Yeah.
She was good as Cassandra Nova. She did a very good job of playing like the aloof villain who's also kind of like, oh, something else might be going on here. And then she get real weird.
She gave me kind of evil Wanda vibes in some scenes.
Okay.
Like she did like her powers. So Cassandra Nova is she's telepathic in the comics, but in the movie they gave her telekinesis, so she can read minds and move things with her mind.
She pretty bad. I'm like, bad, like bad meaning good.
Yeah. So they made her like a super threat in here, but she does have some witchy Wanda-esque moments when when she does her mind reading. Wanda just pops up behind you and kind of fiddles with your mind.
Yes, we talking about multiverse of madness Wanda.
Yeah, we're talking about evil Wanda.
For reference.
We're talking about broken Wanda.
Yeah. Not WandaVision Wanda.
Yeah, but I liked her. She was menacing.
Yeah.
But she was very off-putting, and she was a wild card. You didn't know what she was going to do. Whether she was going to. Whenever she was in a scene, I wasn't sure who she might kill or if she might kill somebody.
Right. There was definitely one part towards the end of the movie. I was like, what's about to happen here? Yeah. This is, I don't know if I trust it.
So as far as a villain, I don't think she was a particularly strong
She wasn't
villain.
The strongest villain we've ever had in the MCU, but she held her own against Logan and Deadpool.
She was a good foil, but she wasn't like a Thanos, or she wasn't even like an Ultron.
No, she was more on the level of like Gore, the God Butcher.
Yeah, she was very charismatic.
Yeah,
she was closer to like a Loki.
Okay, I get
like
that.
She's very charismatic. She had a lot of good funny jokes as well.
Right. It's not like she's not trying to be funny, but it is funny.
But I did enjoy all of her scenes. Absolutely.
Yes. I liked her. Yeah. I liked it. And I know people are probably going to do the typical thing they do with Marvel villains, but I'm going to say that for spoilers.
Yeah.
Yeah. So do we have any non-spoiler thoughts?
Action sequences were amazing.
Yep.
Lots of just long action sequences,
well choreographed,
not a lot of choppy editing.
No.
A lot of it was just like long one take action sequences. Now there was obvious CGI in a lot of the sequences, like the stunts.
There are a couple scenes of wonky CGI.
You could tell when it transitioned from like a stunt man to a 100% CGI person.
Computer.
Yeah.
Just straight up computer.
And mostly that was mostly like Wolverine's action sequences.
Yes.
You could tell that, okay, this is a blend of practical effects and CGI.
And a stunt double.
You could tell when they were using wire work.
Yeah, and it was only really towards the end, though. There were a couple scenes at the end I was like, oh, this CGI for real.
There was definitely some CGI in the fights at the end. The wire work was heavy in the void.
Okay, fair enough.
But I didn't mind them because the action sequences were so good. Like the fights were so good.
I would agree with that.
Yeah.
I would agree with that. I was going to say that the fight choreography, perfect.
Yeah.
This movie is also extremely bloody.
I would say it's the bloodiest Deadpool.
So bloody.
Yeah.
And I didn't mind it. But if you let's think Kill Bill level of blood and then maybe turn it up a notch. In terms of blood, this is like the crazy 88 fight on like steroids.
Yeah, it was extremely bloody. And because they got to work with 2 superheroes who can't die and heal,
they
got
exploited
to go
it
as far as they wanted to with a lot of the blood and gore, and I love that.
I was gonna say, but I enjoyed it.
Yeah.
It's kind of like I enjoy Boy Kills World with the cheese grater, and it was gross. I actually was like, yes, more.
Because in our Boy Kills World review, I said I didn't like the gore and a lot of the blood because
the cheese grater
it was just so painful.
The underarms,
but I didn't mind it in here because they aren't human.
Okay.
So
you're just like, oh, it's okay. It's just a tickle.
Yes.
It's the itch.
So we get to see like Deadpool and Wolverine like stab each other in the head and face and neck and
all
stuff.
over the place.
All over the place.
They're
literally just landing killing blows after killing blow on each other over and over again. But because there's no risk of either of them causing serious harm to each other, it makes it a lot less. It makes it a lot more enjoyable.
I was gonna say it's more entertaining when you know like nobody's about to die.
So it's a lot more. It adds to the entertainment to like, okay, so how are you guys going to try to inflict pain upon each other?
I was gonna say how many
now?
different ways can y'all slice and dice each other before you give up? So that was good. I also thought it was very funny. The movie is funny from beginning to end.
Yeah.
Now, I will say that there are some serious moments, and I appreciate that the few serious moments that they do have, they don't really like try to interject a joke. They kind of let that moment ride.
Yeah.
So I appreciate that. But it's pretty it's the funniest maybe Marvel movie. Maybe. It's pretty fun from start to finish, though.
Yeah, I would say it's the funniest Marvel movie.
It's 2 hours of laughs, for
Absolutely.
sure.
Yeah, they did.
And I liked it.
They did a very good job with the comedy. The last non-spoiler note I will say is that it's not very plot heavy. The plot is extremely simple.
Straight to the point.
And that's okay. They supplement that with the cameos. The cameos are very rewarding.
Right.
And I will say that the cameos are not just fan service. The cameos, they are, in addition to being fan service, all of the cameos, they give them things to do.
They have parts.
All of the characters have parts.
They're not like background, behind the counter serving fries or nothing. They actually doing something.
They get multiple lines that are good.
Scenes.
Not only Deadpool is funny, all of the cameo characters have really good dialogue and lines.
Agree.
We get good backstory for any of the characters that are cameos in this. They get really good action sequences. So this is probably the best Marvel has handled cameos.
Yes. You said better than No Way. What was the last Spider-Man movie?
No Way Home.
Yes.
Yeah, I enjoyed these cameos a lot better than No Way Home. A lot of these characters came out across because we're talking about incorporating cameos between Fox and Marvel. Right. So you have a large gallery of people to pick from. So nostalgia.
Yes.
But it in No Way Home, I think that they brought in the Spider-Man.
It was just the Spider-Man.
The end of the film. I think we were getting into like the end of the second act and going into the third act before we finally got the other Spider-Man.
Well, in fact, it was just Spider-Man. These cameos expand different franchises.
Yeah, these cameos expand different franchises. And I feel like the characters that they brought into this film were in the film a lot longer than Tobey Maguire and Andrew Garfield's Spider-Man were in No Way Home.
I think about the same, actually.
Really?
But I feel like they did, I don't know, I enjoyed
Maybe
the
they
scenes.
just gave them more to do.
Maybe. And we like No Way Home, so this is not a bashing of No Way Home. We just comparing Marvel cameo fest movies.
Yeah, and this is
to
not
each
a
other.
comparison of the films. This is a comparison of like the length of the cameos
right.
and how much they gave them to do. I feel like they didn't bring in Peter and Andrew until after Aunt May died.
It was right before, I think.
Peter and Andrew didn't show up until they were about to have the big final fight.
Okay.
And I feel like the cameo characters that they had in this
because Peter
film,
needed some time by himself, and that's when Guy in the Chair and MJ were by themselves. Okay.
I feel like we had cameos all throughout this film.
Yes. We did.
So it wasn't just like one act of the film.
Fair enough. They handled the cameos very well, is what we're trying to say.
Yes.
For sure. I like the plot that they gave Deadpool in terms of him personally. I don't know if it's a spoiler to say, so I'm gonna save it.
Yeah, the plot of the film is that he has to complete this mission or his world will be destroyed.
Well, and I'm talking about the more of like Deadpool was, he didn't want to just be like a one-trick pony. Yeah. And there's several references to him from other characters that are just like, dude, you just a goofball, like you don't do nothing significant. But Wade is kind of like I want to be something. I want to be somebody. I want to do some good. And they're just kind of like, you're never going to do it. So I like that connecting thread of that was kind of the more serious part of the movie where Wade is trying to like be something significant and not just be out for, being goofy Deadpool all the time.
Yeah, because this is the third film. He's at this point met other characters and has kind of like developed like a family of superheroes around himself.
Right.
And I think that it was handled very well. I think that the emotional beats around how it was very believable that he cared about the people.
Yes.
He cared about Vanessa. He cared about Big Blind Al and all of the other side characters.
Right. It wasn't just like, you ain't never cared about anybody before.
Yeah.
So yeah, Ryan did a good job of playing like a goofy, crazy superhero, but he still had feeling.
Yeah, absolutely.
So the heart that Kevin Feige was talking about is present in this. It ain't like a huge chunk of the movie, but it is there.
Yeah, it's very believable that he hides like his heart and compassion behind like his sarcasm and curse words.
Kind of like Logan hides his tough guy act behind the fact that like he actually wants to be loved.
And I think that adds to why
and around people.
Both those characters work so well together in the film.
Agree.
Yeah.
Agree.
So those are all the non-spoiler notes I have.
That is all I got. Let's get into the spoilers in 3, 2, and 1. So this film, it opens up with NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye. Yes. And Deadpool actually does the dance. And it was so out of the box and unexpected. Yeah. I was cracking up.
So the movie opens up with Deadpool kind of narrating like he does in every other film.
Yeah.
And he talks about, which is one of my favorite parts of the film, the opening narration is we're looking at Logan's grave from the end of Logan.
Yes.
And Deadpool is saying, I know you guys are wondering, he's talking to the audience, breaking the fourth wall. He's like, I know you guys are wondering how we're going to handle the resurrection of Logan and bringing him back into the films after we gave him such a glorious death at the end of his movie run. And he was like, we're not going to handle it well. We're absolutely going to desecrate this man's death in his grave just for like fan service and making money. And I like the fact that they were
what the whole opening scene is from the trailer where he's fighting the TVA agents with, it was snow, right? Or in the forest or whatever.
It was in the winter, but it was definitely in the same spot where they buried him.
Right. And he's fighting off the TVA agents with Logan's antimanium body parts.
Yeah, so he's using his
skeleton,
his adamantium covered bones as weapons.
And it's in between that he's dancing to NSYNC's Bye Bye Bye
while the opening credits are like playing around.
The most insane opening of a MCU movie we've ever had.
Yeah. And I didn't expect them to do the full song, and he went on for the full song.
And he does the whole dance. Like y'all know now, if you were not 80s or 90s baby, you know what the NSYNC Bye 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 dance is. Yeah. Imagine Deadpool doing that.
Yeah. Early 2000s dance routines are very specific.
Yeah, just go on TikTok or YouTube and you'll know. If you don't know what we're talking about, you'll get it real quick. So let's talk about what we liked and didn't like. So opening scene, loved it. Unexpected. I was cracking the heck up.
I love the TVA in this. So the TVA is one of the big forces in this film because he has been recruited by the TVA to assist them in the mission that they have given him.
Oh, that's somebody I didn't say in our cast list is Matthew McFadden is playing Mr. Paradox, who is the TVA. he's more of a, he's not just an agent. He's like a
district
manager.
Yeah.
District manager.
We find out that the TVA is separated into districts.
Yeah.
So B16 manages all of the TVA.
It looks like she has gotten a promotion since we've seen her in Loki season 2.
Yes. And she has some subordinates under her that manage the smaller districts.
Correct.
So Mr. Paradox manages a smaller district, and he's the one who has the direct contact with Deadpool.
Right. Overall, I guess the overall theme plot of the movie is that Mr. Paradox is trying to speed up the death or the dying of Deadpool's timeline, which is Earth 10,005. And he's like, I need this to hurry up quick. I got other things to do. I want to use this time ripper machine to get the party going.
Yeah.
And the reason why Deadpool's universe or timeline is dying is because Logan doesn't exist.
Yes.
So Wade is like, hold up a second. Let me go find me a Wolverine to stop the dying of my timeline. And Mr. Paradox is like, yeah, that's not how, I don't want to save your timeline. I actually want to send you to Earth 616, which is the universe that we all know. So we like, oh, Deadpool about to finally make it into Marvel. And Deadpool like, I don't want to go. I want to save my own timeline. Let me go find a Wolverine and I can fix this. And this is basically the plot line of the movie. And what we later find out is that Mr. Paradox got he working under false pretenses. He the district manager gone wrong, essentially.
So we get some more multiverse lore. We find out what an anchor being is. So apparently Wolverine is called an anchor being. And the reason that Deadpool...
the shining light of a timeline.
So Paradox isn't the one who initially starts the deletion of Deadpool's timeline. Deadpool's timeline is already being deleted.
Right.
And the reason is because Logan died. Logan is in Deadpool's timeline.
Right.
And when he was killed in Logan, that caused the removal.
Kind of like a chain reaction of the dying timeline.
A nexus being is apparently somebody who is essential for a timeline, and once they die, the timeline falls apart. Poof. So instead of saving the timeline, Paradox is like, well, let's just speed it up
because
and get rid of it.
He said it takes too long or something, right?
And he said that he was he complained that him and his district were frustrated with B15 at the end of Loki. Because at the end of Loki, they decided,
right. Yep.
They decided to stop pruning timelines, and he was like, "No,
it takes too long.
It takes too long to try to. It takes too long, too much effort to try to maintain all of these timelines. We need to go back to the sacred timeline. He's trying to go back to the status quo.
And he also wants to lead. He wants to be like leader of the TVA.
Yeah,
like he's trying to go from district manager to like CEO.
Yeah, so it's basically a case of there's new management and the workers aren't happy with it, so they're trying to do their own thing. So
it's a coup.
As a quick fix, Wade goes and abducts a Wolverine from a separate timeline because he's like, okay, well, we can swap them.
Right.
And he apparently picks the worst one.
And this is where we get to another part of the movie that I liked, is how we get to jump from, I don't know, 5 or 6 different Wolverines, and this is where we get one of our first cameos.
A Wolverine variant montage.
2 cameos, I think, in this.
We get a montage of Wolverines in a whole bunch of different universes.
And it's funny. We watched this we were watching this in San Diego during Comic-Con, which you said 10,001 times at this point. So the audience was hype.
Yes.
But it was cool to see the audience reaction for people who knew the different Wolverines that we were getting and like what era they came out in. So you could probably talk more about that, because I was kind of like, oh, this looks cool, and you was like, oh, this time. I was like, oh, okay.
So we got a bunch of different Wolverines. We got Age of Apocalypse Wolverine, which is Wolverine who has he has one hand. One hand is replaced by like an iron stub.
Yeah,
and then he has one hand that has a claw on it.
He had a blowout.
Yeah. And that
he had a blowout, bro.
In that timeline is when he loses one of his hands.
Okay.
Clearly, and he only has one left. Okay. And he's kind of like a Firo version of
Wolverine.
He
can heal, right? He can't grow back body parts.
Right. Only Deadpool can grow back body parts.
Okay.
So we get that Wolverine. We get the Tuxedo Wolverine, which is the Madripoor Wolverine.
We saw the back of this Wolverine's head in one of the trailers, I think, first trailers. We
get comic accurate Wolverine.
He's a little.
5'3" Wolverine.
So he looked like he about 4'3" in this.
So for the 7 Hugh Jackman haters that are on the planet, they've always complained that they want a Wolverine who's comic accurate.
Well,
they want short person representation in the MCU.
And they said, "Sure, we'll give you exactly what you're looking for."
So there's a small sad faction of people who've always complained that Hugh Jackman is too tall to be Wolverine. That was one of the big complaints when he was casted, was that he's too tall. Wolverine is supposed to be short.
Listen, the little short Wolverine that they showed this movie looked creepy.
He looked like a child. It was hilarious.
He was like a little man. Take a short man that's like 3 feet tall and put Hugh Jackman's head on it. With Wolverine's attitude, and you're like, this is too much.
I love that they did it because it showed that is a stupid idea to do in a film.
It don't look good.
It makes sense in comic books and cartoons because comic books and cartoons can afford to be a lot campier
and not drawn to size.
Right. And they can afford to be a lot campier and ridiculous because they're cartoons and comics. But when you're doing live action, tiny Wolverine just doesn't work. It's actually funnier than it is serious.
Yeah. So as we are jumping to each one of these, everybody's like, "Oh my God, that's this," and then this one come around and we like, huh, what is that?
So we get a couple more Wolverines that are like small nods and Easter eggs to different versions of him in the comics.
Very cool, by the way.
The last 2 I'll mention is we get Wolverine versus Hulk Wolverine.
So we get a Hulk cameo for like
we get a Hulk cameo
2.5 seconds.
So we get brown and yellow suit Wolverine, which is like pre-blue and yellow. This is like original recipe Wolverine when he was first recruited by the X-Men. He looked like he got like a coach outfit because he's like brown and black. There's a comic storyline and there's an animated film of Wolverine versus Hulk.
Okay. We definitely.
It's basically just Wolverine and Hulk fighting in like the forest of Canada in the snow. And we basically get like a clip of that ripped from
now.
I
will say that the Hulk cameo is blink and you miss it.
Yeah,
but that was fine because
super quick.
Because what Deadpool is doing is jumping timeline to find a Wolverine to bring back, and he gets to one and like he gets to the short one and was like, "Nope, you too short, not gonna work." He gets to the one with the Hulk, he's like, "Nope, don't want you either." He gets to the one where Wolverine's like hanging on an X. I don't know what comic line that was, and he's like, "Oh, you look like you busy. I gotta go. I can't use you either." So it's funny because we're like popping between all these different versions of Wolverine, and everybody's like, "Oh, that's this. Oh, that's that," and Deadpool's like, "Nope, don't want you," and "Nope, don't want you either."
Yeah. And the last Wolverine cameo I'll mention is the big Wolverine cameo, which is we get Henry Cavill Wolverine. So Henry Cavill is like actually cameo shows number 2 in this film. He plays a Wolverine variant, and it's hilarious.
Well, it's funny because the way they set up the shot, Deadpool shows up. He's like, "Oh, this is the Wolverine I want. Like, I want you." Yeah. And we only get the back of his head, and you were like, "Oh, well, what?" And then Deadpool, we cut to a different Wolverine, and you were like, "Well, why did we not get that one? He looked perfectly fine. We don't want the short one. We don't want the dime one. What's wrong with this one?" So we get back to it, and the Wolverine finally turns around, and it's freaking Henry Cavill, like
in a garage working on a motorcycle as Wolverine.
With Wolverine hair. Yeah. And we just like, I'm sorry, what? Yeah. Insane. And we only on cameo number 2 at this point in the movie.
So because he's just a cameo Wolverine, he obviously doesn't. All of the Wolverines that Wade meets are like super aggressive, mean Wolverines that try to kill him as soon as he tries to recruit him.
Exactly. So they don't work out.
The only reason he gets the Hugh Jackman Logan Wolverine that we have in this film is because he captures him while he's stupid, drunk, and passed out. Yeah. So essentially they end up in the void because Deadpool won't cooperate with Paradox. He won't just let him destroy his timeline.
Paradox ain't got no time for that.
Paradox is like, well, I'll just prune you. Prune both of you. So Wolverine and Deadpool end up in the void. Wolverine's mad because Deadpool abducted him and then got him pruned.
He was minding his business, getting drunk at the bar, and here come Deadpool getting out here in the void.
Yeah. So Paradox gives us the explanation that we get from the trailer, which is that this Wolverine let his whole universe die.
Right. Now let me interject. Something else I liked is how, if you had not seen Loki season 1 and 2, they did a pretty good job of just explaining the TVA in like a scene. So you do not need to watch Loki season 1 and 2 for this. they will catch you up pretty quick and keep moving, and you'll be like, okay, cool, I'm here.
And lots of jokes from Deadpool about how the multiverse just hasn't been working the way that they wanted to.
I don't know if I like that joke, but I was like, I like the Marvels, by the way.
And how hard it is to like keep up with some of the connected properties in it, which I enjoy. I enjoy that the MCU is able to jump in those jokes by themselves.
I was gonna say one thing I liked is that they were able to make fun of themselves.
Yeah, and they did several times. And they did it the best. Like all of the jokes that they made about themselves in this are funnier and better than any of the jokes that have been made about them like online or by critics. And I love the fact that they kind of like won the contest of like
talking about themselves,
taking a dump on themselves.
Yeah, and it was like you knew what they were referencing when he made the joke, and you were kind of like, because Deadpool has a joke where he said something like, because lately Marvel hasn't been at the top of their box office game or something. He's like,
because in a way the MCU is able to reclaim their power,
right?
From especially that type of criticism.
Now that we know what the numbers this movie about to do, is they like, sure, we can talk about ourselves all we want because we about to make $1 billion off this movie.
Yeah, and I think this film has definitely put new life into the franchise. So we get the scene in the desert where Deadpool and Wolverine are fighting each other because of course they're not going to like each other. Deadpool is annoying, but that fight is eventually broken up by another cameo, and this is another.
I'm gonna lose track of the numbers, so I'm just gonna say, and cameo number 3, and the next one I might say 10, but just roll with it.
So Chris Evans makes an appearance in this film,
and it is
hilarious. And so just a quick breakdown of how this cameo goes. First, we get a voice. We can hear Chris Evans off screen telling Deadpool and Wolverine to stop fighting each other, because if they fight each other, then they'll never win.
Something like that.
They'll never be able to fight the true villain. So he jumps down from the billboard that he's standing on.
Now, mind you, Chris Evans is cloaked.
Yes,
so
he's wearing
all
a
we
cloak.
hear is his voice, and you see an arm that looks like it has a Captain America suit on it.
But I noticed it was thinner.
And the arm ain't got no muscles. As many muscles as it used to.
So my initial thought was, okay, you were like, it's Chris Evans, Captain America. I was like, he's skinny.
Immediately was like, that's Chris Evans.
So he takes his hood off, and it's absolutely Chris Evans.
I knew it.
And he's got like his hair grown out a little bit.
Yeah.
But I noticed that he's skinnier, and I was like, okay, well maybe he just didn't work out for the film, because he's not going to be in it for a very long time.
Right.
But then he's about to say his Deadpool's fanning out, because Deadpool is a super Captain America
and
fan.
Some enemies are coming from far away, so they about to get ready to fight.
Yes, and it's giving like Mad Max a little bit.
It is.
So
I agree.
When Deadpool thinks that Captain America is about to give his signature Avengers Assemble phrase,
there's a nice little pause like they did in Endgame,
because he kind of talks like Steve.
He does. He's got like the Steve Rogers like esque about him. He's like, he's in position, and we think he about to say Avengers Assemble. And what does he actually say?
He says flame on.
He turns into freaking Johnny Storm,
and he takes flight as Human Torch. So this isn't actually Captain America. This is Johnny Storm from the Fantastic Four films. And I love the fact that
insane,
in a different universe, Chris Evans is Johnny Storm still.
The fact that he turned, the audience went crazy, y'all. We in the movie theater cutting up, like screaming, howling, shaking, throwing up. Like, is this freaking Johnny Storm? It was amazing. Whose ever idea it was for all of these cameos. Hope you get a raise.
So from this point forward, the film is pretty much just a cameo fest, because immediately after Johnny Storm shows up, we get Pyro, Toad, and Sabretooth from the Fox X-Men franchise, because they are henchmen for Cassandra Nova.
And these were shown, I guess these were shown in the trailer, so these weren't a surprise, but now we get full scenes at this point.
So we get the scene of Wolverine fighting Sabretooth. That ends extremely quickly. It's all build up and no fight. Wolverine immediately chops his head off without any issue whatsoever. I love that. And they get knocked out by Pyro. And they are being taken back to Cassandra Nova. We get to Cassandra Nova. We get more cameos here.
The rest of, I guess, more Fox mutants show up, essentially.
Of the villains from the Fox movies. So we get Juggernaut.
Juggernaut, what's his name?
Azazel.
There it is. Him.
We get Lady Deathstrike,
which we don't get a lot of. She just in the background, but she there.
It's not the same actress either,
No.
but you can tell that she's supposed to be the same character, and I don't believe she gets any speaking lines either.
No, I mean she is a blink you miss her as well. Actually,
we get Psylocke as well. She was the one with the purple whip.
Yeah. Okay.
And I think we saw Callisto twice.
Okay.
Callisto was the one in your favorite X-Men movie who beat up Halle Berry.
X-Men 3? X3?
X3.
But he says favorite movie. He says it jokingly because it's like me and 5 other people that like that movie.
I don't like it.
Most people don't like it, but I'm not most people.
But they're the henchmen for Cassandra Nova. She apparently runs the Void.
Yeah, so she gives a whole speech, and this is where we get introduced to her. And I like how she's just kind of like, I'm fine here. This is my home. I run this place. I was born here. I think we mentioned that she is Charles Xavier's sister, so they kind of whipped through that little piece real quick. So I like that they like introduced her, gave her background, tell her story. And I actually thought that she was going to try to kill Deadpool and Wolverine here, but she actually lets them escape, and she's just like, I'm going back to minding my business. And I was like, oh, okay. So
I liked Cassandra Nova.
Okay.
Some background before Cassandra Nova. She's the twin of Professor Xavier.
Right.
In the comics, Professor Xavier effectively strangles her with an umbilical cord. She tries to kill him, but he strangles her. Yes, this is embryo war. He strangles her in the womb with an umbilical cord because he realizes that she's as powerful as he is, but also evil.
Can't be two of us.
But she ends up becoming born anyway.
Yeah.
Because she's like a parasite. I loved in the movie that
powerful stuff.
I loved in the movie that they switched it to where she was the one who tried to strangle him with an umbilical cord. And
she looked like the type in this movie that would do that.
I love the fact that she was just plain evil.
No good side about her.
She was a villain. She was sick. And she even mentions, like, I don't know why I'm like this, but I know that I just am a bad guy. And I love that.
There's a scene at the end of the movie. They're like, why are you like this? She's like, I actually don't know.
She's like, I wish I knew. So I love the fact.
I'm not going to change.
I love the fact that she was just a villain.
Yeah.
And that's another note. Some of the stuff, they just left it simple. Like, we're not going to explain it. We're not going to go in depth on it.
Yeah.
She's a villain. She's bad.
Right.
We're not going to explain the psychological trauma she's been through. She's just a bad guy.
No. And one of my notes of things that I did not like is the fact that they so we get the backstory of Wolverine and why he's so depressed and why he's an alcoholic. And it's because, according to him and according to Paradox and according to Cassandra Nova, because she like does this weird thing where she get in his brain with her fingers. It's very gross. It's very Wanda-like. She basically takes her hand and you can see her fingers moving.
She like puts it through your head, but it comes out of your nose and eyeballs.
It's weird. You got to watch it. There's no way to describe it. But basically that's how she reads people's minds.
Yeah.
And everybody knows, the story is that Wolverine failed the mutants and somehow the humans came to kill the mutants, and they were wanting Logan to help them, but Logan was out getting drunk.
Yeah.
And he blames himself for them all dying. Now, I don't buy that excuse or reasoning. I was just kind of like, but they X-Men. They fight. There's no way humans would be able to take them out.
There's a comic storyline where Wolverine accidentally kills all the X-Men,
and I thought that's where they was going to go.
Mind control, and that would have worked.
That would have made way more sense.
They didn't show us how the X-Men died, so they could have just left it in exposition. They didn't have to shoot him killing all the X-Men,
right? Because he mentions we talked about this before, how he mentioned Storm and Jean and Scott, but we don't get cameos from any of them actually.
It would have made more sense if they had just been like, oh well, I killed all the X-Men because I was under mind control, because it would have made more sense that he could have pulled it off, because he could have got closer to them and they would not have been able to see Wolverine coming.
Friendly fire, as they say.
But it just didn't make sense that he was like, the humans came and killed all the X-Men while I went out drinking one night,
and that was all our explanation.
So the humans killed Jean. Jean didn't see him coming.
The Jean Grey?
The Famke Jensen couldn't do anything.
And you don't mean tell me she didn't wake up Storm like, hey, yo, girl, they're trying to kill us. And Storm was like, oh, let me get a tornado popping.
Maybe not Cyclops. Maybe not Fox X-Men Cyclops, because X-Men 97 Cyclops wouldn't have went for that BS. But
listen, he would have been up all night anyway.
But
just
Fox
looking out.
X-Men, Jean and Storm would not have stood for being murdered by humans.
So one of my things I didn't like was the smoothing over and the quickness and we were moving with haste with that part of the timeline, and I was kind of like, okay, we need to run that back.
Wolverine, this variant of Wolverine's backstory was written like we just need something in the script so that we can progress the story. And that was fine because the rest of the movie was so rewarding.
It didn't matter.
I will forgive you, but I shan't forget.
Right. Well, and my theory is they didn't want to go too deep into detail because they haven't fully maybe fleshed out what the storyline for the X-Men are, and they didn't want to have to explain this later.
And I honestly don't think the Wolverine... I honestly don't think the backstory for this Wolverine and his universe matters. They're never going to revisit it.
Exactly.
He's never going to go... we're never going to go back to it.
Right.
So
like even if he shows up in Secret Wars, would it be the point of going through his backstory then?
Yeah, because the whole point of all of this saga is to bring everybody into the MCU
at some point.
616. So it doesn't matter where he came from or what happened there.
It would have been a nice touch, if you wanted to add an extra 10 minutes to the movie. We was already there for 2 hours. Give us a little something. But I think they were kind of like, nah, because we don't want to have to explain this convoluted story later. I
thought it was funny that they thought that was enough to be like, oh yeah, the X-Men are dead because Wolverine went out drinking, and Wolverine was not there to assist.
It's kind of like he's just one person, and he ain't even like Storm.
Magneto couldn't.
What is it? Level 4 mutant or whatever?
And I did not like the
level
fact
10 mutant.
They called Wolverine. Oh well, no, they didn't. They called Cassandra Nova an Omega level mutant, which
Omega
fine.
Level. There it is. That's
fine because she's Xavier's twin, so she can be an Omega.
The way
level.
she was putting her fingers in people's brain, I give her Omega level.
But Wolverine was not, so I don't think that Wolverine was essential to save the X-Men. But I'll let that go.
Right.
They get to Cassandra Nova.
Mm-hmm.
And she gives them the spiel. She likes being in the void, apparently.
She happy.
Because
she cool.
This is where she gets to. They sent her there, as soon as she was a baby, as soon as she was born, they pruned her and put her in the void. She's like, I can use all of my powers here. Yes. I can run this whole land.
She gives people two options: you either work for her or you get eaten by Elias.
So apparently, she has a deal with Elias that she'll feed Elias people that come through to be left. And he'll leave like her and her little fortress alone. She has a fortress inside the carcass of a dead Ant-Man.
Yes, which we see in the trailer.
She name drops a couple of variants that she's killed that have dropped through the void. She says she's killed a couple of Xaviers that fallen through. Mm-hmm. She does mention that she killed an amateur magician that came through with a sling ring once. That would be a Doctor Strange.
Yes.
So
no Doctor Strange cameo, by the way. Sorry.
She kills Johnny Storm because we get a great funny scene about Deadpool basically telling Cassandra Nova a whole bunch of derogatory mean things that Johnny Storm said about her behind her back while they were on their way there.
Disgustingly gross things.
She rips the skin off of his body and he falls into like a pile of like blood and organs, which is disgusting.
More gore, by the way.
Unfortunately, we get to see the horrible death of Chris Evans, Human Torch, aka Captain America.
He went out with a bang. Literally.
Another cameo, the Fantastic Car.
Yep, as they were going across the Mad Max territory.
Yeah, so
because that's what it looks like.
Because not only people but things get pruned and put in the void, so we do get a floating Fantastic Car. I thought that was fun.
It was cute. It was hovering. Like,
we get a whole bunch. We get a nice pool cameo.
Yes, we do.
So after Logan and Wolverine, after Deadpool and Wolverine escape Cassandra Nova, they are trying to figure out what they're going to do next.
They're trying to get out.
Yeah, they're trying to figure out how they can get back.
Here it is. They heard of there is a group of people who are trying to hide out, like the Resistance, basically. Yeah. Mm-hmm. There's a resistance of people who have been pruned and don't want to work for Cassandra and obviously don't want to get eaten, who are trying to work together to either take her out or get back home or both. Or
die trying.
Yes.
But they don't want to stay there.
And Nice Pool tells them where he can find them.
Yes. So Nice Pool tells him two things. He tells them, one, where you can find the Resistance.
Right.
He tells them, two, there's Deadpool Corps here. So there is a whole army of Deadpools because all the Deadpools get pruned, apparently.
A lot of them.
And they work
They don't explain, but that's okay.
They don't explain, but I guess you can kind of just assume that Deadpool is a issue in every timeline that they exist in, so they always get pruned no matter what.
We can see that.
How they pruned a baby pool. I don't even know how a baby pool would exist, but they pruned a baby pool.
Actual baby.
Yeah. So we get some explanation about the Resistance and the Deadpool Corps. He says, stay away from the Deadpool Corps.
Did he say that? I didn't.
Yeah, he says because they're like they're mercenaries.
Yeah.
They work for Cassandra. And he said that they'll kill you.
Oh, okay.
And I don't think he's part of the Deadpool Corps.
He seems to be a solo guy.
A loner.
Yeah. A happy they're a loner though. Nice Pool was very happy and content just being Nice Pool.
Yeah.
He didn't want to kill nobody.
So Deadpool and Wolverine take a road trip to find the Resistance, and this is where we get amazing cameos.
The rest of the cameos that weren't leaked, weren't name dropped, weren't hinted at. None of the scoopers, either they knew it, didn't say nothing, or they didn't know. Now there was a rumor that they was planting fake cameos, which I think I can believe that, but none of these was mentioned. So we was all in the movie theater like.
So the first cameo we get is Elektra. Yeah. We get Jennifer Garner, who returns as Elektra in this film.
Does she look good too?
We don't really get an explanation for why they were pruned.
No, we don't.
One of the cameo characters kind of just says that they got a knock on the door and the TVA showed up and pruned them. So we don't know what they did in their timelines, but I guess Paradox just wanted to get rid of every timeline. So it didn't matter. They all would have ended up there anyway, I guess.
Yeah, I guess so.
So we get Elektra. We get the second cameo, which is Blade. Wesley Snipes has returned.
Super surprised by that.
Super surprised.
Everybody erupted in cheers in the theater.
If you don't know, Wesley Snipes and Ryan Reynolds did not have a great relationship prior to this film.
Blade Trinity.
There were some slurs that were thrown.
Didn't go well.
In one direction. I'm not sure if they were thrown in another. But Ryan Reynolds and Wesley Snipes did not end on good terms after they worked together on one of the Blade films.
Last one, wasn't it?
Yeah. Yep. I find it hilarious that they never brought that up. The fact that Ryan Reynolds played a completely different character in Wesley Snipes' universe in Blade. So that was a missed opportunity, but it was funny. Did not expect to see him in this movie at all. We had been talking for weeks about how funny it was that Wesley Snipes had been throwing shade on the MCU on Twitter.
Towards the Blade remake.
So the whole time we've been thinking that Wesley Snipes is extremely anti-Blade, but apparently that was just fuel that was added by Kevin Feige. So Kevin Feige has been orchestrating fake beef.
Here's a match, Wesley. Go have some fun on Twitter.
Kevin Feige has been orchestrating fake beef behind the scenes and telling Wesley Snipes to stoke the fires. So
like nobody's ever gonna guess because they think you hate us.
Right. Because even at this panel, even this weekend at Comic-Con, Kevin Feige has been doing interviews saying that, we're still doing Blade. Mahershala Ali's still Blade.
Yeah.
In fact, it's our next rated R movie.
Yeah.
We've already decided we're going to do rated R and it's next. So
everything and everybody was like, oh, what if Wesley Snipes shows up in Blade? And little did we know this man was gonna be in a totally different movie.
Told you, comedic actor.
Great cameo.
Yeah. And we're
not even done.
The last cameo we get from this group is a super surprise. We get Gambit, played by the one and only Channing Tatum,
who's been wanted to play. This was like his dream role that he wanted to play, and they told him no, and he's been so sad about it.
He emailed Kevin Feige,
and they finally returned his email and said, "Hey, is you free?"
Yeah.
And I'm sure he was like, abso-freaking-lutely.
So he did a great comic accurate Gambit.
He did.
I think he did a little bit too much of the Bon Ton Louisiana accent.
Because he was I think he was speaking French and English, and he was bouncing back and forth. So every other scene you'd be like, what did he just say?
Yeah. So he would flip back and forth between his Louisiana accent and French. And I think that they told him deliberately to turn the dial up a lot so that Deadpool could make a lot of jokes about not being able to understand anything that Gambit was saying.
The exchange between him and Deadpool was hilarious.
But his costume was 100% comic accurate. Like he looked like he was ripped directly from X-Men 97. The only thing that was different was the eyes.
Yeah.
They didn't give him the eyes, but other than that, he looked good.
Yeah.
And
you're missing one person.
We get another person, but before we get the last cameo, Deadpool's asking them what they're doing, what their plan is, and we get some shots of some of the props that are in their hideout.
Oh, okay.
We get a shot of Hulk's bed from Thor Ragnarok, the bone jaw bed that he was with the teeth that he was sleeping in. That's
jaw,
there.
not claw. Sorry, guys.
And we get a shot of the mural the stone mural from Multiverse of Madness of Wanda.
Where
the Scarlet Witch
is Wanda?
After Wanda found out that she was like a prophesized witch that was like reincarnated and got the Darkhold, there was like this stone tapestry that was made of her, and
that's how she knew that she was like she was the person.
Yeah, so we get a shot of that in their hideout, and I'm like,
where am I?
Elektra, when Deadpool was like, there's only 3 of you, and Elektra's like, there's 4. And I was like, if Wanda walks through this door, I am going to
all the popcorn is getting thrown.
I'm going to shed my mortal flesh. And I'm going
Listen, we've been wanting Wanda back ever since they tried to
ascend into the sky,
quote unquote kill Wanda. And I'm like, we know she's not dead. And they've been dropping hints of Wanda. Not every MCU project, but quite a few.
And it would have fit because the
Where's
cameos so far were so outrageous and so left of field. Like, who knew they were going to dig up Human Torch and throw him in here, and Elektra and Blade. So I was like, they could absolutely put Wanda in here because we got Hulk. We didn't know we were going to get.
We did get a little bit of Hulk.
We got some Thor. We didn't get.
Oh yeah, we saw Thor on the screen.
Thor wasn't technically in the movie, but he was like shown on a screen.
I bet you he was listed in the credits.
Like a possible future. It was definitely a new shot, scene.
That was a funny running joke. So there's a scene on the screen when Deadpool is in the TVA and Paradox is showing him like all these different screens. And there's on one screen, Thor is crying over what looks like a dying Deadpool, and Deadpool keeps asking like, why is Thor crying? And we never find out like what that storyline or what that timeline was.
So there's a running joke throughout the movie where Deadpool's like, eventually I'm going to be friends with Thor, and something's going to happen where he's going to weep over me. And
exactly. He wants to know, and he keeps asking, and nobody ever responds. Love that through joke through the whole movie.
But unfortunately, we don't get Wanda, but we do get another good cameo, and that is X-23,
which got spoiled.
Yes. So of course, Daphne Keane ended up being in this movie as X-23.
Well, we knew that.
She is the same X-23 from the Logan film.
Who got pruned.
And but we don't get an explanation.
Yeah.
And I don't know why she would have gotten pruned, because I don't see how Daphne Keane. I don't see how X-23 would have been an issue. But
yeah, and it seems like they made it seem like Paradox is just out here willy-nilly being a rogue district manager and just doing whatever he wants, which is
he's just
crazy.
It seems like he's just pruning anybody that's like maybe a superhero in their universe. So they have decided that they are going to use a helmet. The only way to stop Cassandra Nova from using her powers against them is to use a helmet kind of like Magneto's helmet, because that blocks the telepathic powers. But Magneto is dead, apparently.
She's killed him.
She has melted him and melted the helmet, according to Blade.
Which was a funny scene, because they was like, well, where's Magneto? She killed him. Right. Where's the helmet? She melted. And they're like, Deadpool's just like, what the is going on here?
So the closest thing they have is Juggernaut. So they've decided we're going to get all the band together.
Right. Now, also to add, Wolverine is in the back of all of this, just drinking a bottle of Jack.
I love that.
Laughing.
I love the fact that Wolverine committed to just being a jerk most of the whole movie.
Like 95% of the way.
He was a Debbie Downer. Anytime the team was talking about getting together and going out into a glorious end, he was kind of just like laughing in the background or calling them all idiots.
Right. Because he's super pissed at Deadpool, because Deadpool says, oh, if you help me, then we can go back to the TVA and fix your timeline. But then he let it slip and say, I actually don't know if they're going to be able to fix it. It was an educated wish.
Right.
And now Wolverine is pissed. So he just wants to get up out of there. And so he just laying in the back like, do whatever. Where's the jacket?
I loved educated wish.
Give me the Casamigos.
I'm going to use that the next time I need to convince somebody to assist me with something that I don't know if it's going to end up for the better for them.
Right.
But
educated wish.
Next scene that I liked, loved the fight scene at Cassandra Nova's base with all of our legacy heroes.
We get like the big
so we get like an Avengers assemble moment.
Yeah.
But with like our old and Channing Tatum, our old legendary Fox characters.
Don't forget about Gambit.
So all of those characters that we mentioned, we get a big fight between like them and Cassandra Nova's henchmen.
And each one of our cameo folks get a little scene.
Yeah.
Which was very good.
So we find out that Paradox actually doesn't like Cassandra Nova. He actually wants her dead.
Shaka.
So he has convinced Pyro, one of her goons, to kill her. So while Deadpool and Wolverine are using Juggernaut's Scott's helmet on her,
right,
to stop her powers and convince her to send them home. Pyro comes in and tries to kill her.
Pop, pop, pop.
But Wolverine gives the speech because he's been convinced by X-23 that there is
you
some
can be the
good
change
left
you
in
wish
him.
to see in the world.
Yeah,
basically.
So they, instead of letting her die, they take the helmet off to let her live, and as a reward, which I did not see coming.
Oh, yeah.
She pulls out a sling ring and lets them go home.
So we thought, or some of us probably thought, that this was going to be a Doctor Strange cameo. We also talked about what if it's Ned, what if it's Madison, because now Wong is Sorcerer Supreme.
Right.
And he been kicking it with Madison, which we know from She-Hulk.
Right.
And it turns out it's none of them. It was literally Cassandra Nova, who was just like, this immature, what she call him? Unskilled musician came through. I popped him, but I kept his ring.
Right.
So I can actually get y'all back home if y'all want to.
But she doesn't just send them home. She shows up there with them because she wants to use Paradox's Time Ripper because he backstabbed her. She only cares about the Void. So she's going to destroy every timeline until there is nothing left but the Void because she runs the Void.
And I guess we kind of had a villain and a half in this. We had Cassandra Nova, who was the main villain, and then we had Paradox District Manager, who was like our street level villain, who was just kind of like, I'm just trying to, I guess he was kind of more of a full villain. They
share the villain role,
right? Because he wanted to take over the TVA.
Yeah, so and he's essentially, because he was going to prune every timeline until there was nothing left but
using his little time ripper machine.
Right.
Interesting. So yeah, double villains for sure.
Doesn't work for him. So Cassandra Nova uses her little put my finger in your brain mind reading power, which was gross.
It's very visceral.
There's a scene where she drags his skull down the street
by his eyeball sockets.
Yes, by his
eyeballs are still in his head.
And she's like dragging his body.
It's very strange.
It was off-putting and creepy.
Go watch the movie.
Looked very Evil Dead-ish.
Because we can't describe it accurately to really stick the point.
So while Cassandra Nova's using the Time Ripper, love the return of spaghettification.
We get to see that again. So that
from
is Loki season 2.
Yep. And the only way to stop her, according to Paradox, is if Deadpool and Wolverine form a bridge under the machine. There's a lot of science that goes into how this machine works.
They explain it in 2 sentences. And they technically don't need both of them. Only one person needs to go down there, beat a circuit, essentially.
Somebody has to perform the sacrifice.
We need the lamb of one of them.
Somebody has to make the sacrifice play in order to save all of the timelines.
Everybody.
But it's Deadpool and Wolverine. They cannot be killed.
Well, here was my thing with that. It was the reason why Deadpool wanted Logan back in his timeline was so that his people could live. So I was like, well, it can't be Logan because then it wouldn't save Deadpool's timeline. And I was like, well, it shouldn't be Deadpool because this is the point of Deadpool wanting to be alive, is to be with his people.
Right. And I was like, they're not going to kill Deadpool if it goes to the MCU. That doesn't make any sense.
Right. So I was like, at this point, I was like, okay, I'm very curious of who it's going to be and how they're going to kind of wrap this movie up with if one of them dies.
But it was neither. So we didn't lose anybody.
And they didn't drag that out for very long either. No. I appreciate that.
So Deadpool and Wolverine, instead of one person going in there and making the sacrifice play, they worked together, which means neither one of them died. Right. But they were successfully able to blow up Cassandra Nova.
Right.
So I love
that. Did
they
actually blow her up though? Or is she somewhere lurking like Wanda?
It looks like she got shredded. Paradox did drive home the whole, this isn't one of those where you are badly injured but you'll recuperate
because you're atomized.
He was like this is the complete end. So maybe, but
and I guess she doesn't have the power to regenerate, so that wouldn't help her
in the comics. She does, but maybe, I don't know, they might have changed that. I would not be surprised if she showed up in Secret Wars. I feel like Secret Wars is open field for everybody
and their mama and their favorite villain.
So after they defeat Cassandra Nova, I loved B16. We finally get B15, but played by Wunmi Musaku. Hey, we love Wunmi on this podcast.
And go watch Scavenger's Reign.
Yes.
Okay, go ahead.
Which sidebar, Scavenger's Reign is amazing. So go watch it.
And we did a whole episode review on that too.
Yes. Perfect. Please, Netflix.
We need a season 2, y'all. We begging. This is the only reason why we mention this, because we need a season 2.
One Mimasaku's B-15 shows up and congratulates them. Loved seeing her again. Love knowing that she is running the TVA.
Listen, she is head TVA agent in charge, it looked like.
I love that this means we'll probably get more of her. Because Secret Wars is all about the multiverse, and that is all what the TVA is all about. So I absolutely am now convinced she's going to be in Secret Wars. I'm campaigning for it.
I do find it interesting. She ain't say nothing about Deadpool killing all her TVA agents at the beginning of the movie.
Technically, they were paradoxes, so those deaths are on his hands.
I'm okay with that. Okay.
Sorry.
I'm good with that.
Sorry to those people.
Sorry to the mans and women's.
So, unfortunately, B-15 does say that she can't undo Wolverine's timeline.
Right, because she said we wouldn't be at this moment if I tried to fix your timeline.
Right. So and that's how time works.
Exactly.
So now we have to figure out what we're going to do with Logan, because he can't go back to his timeline.
He doesn't seem to want, he seems to get over it pretty quickly, actually. She's like, I can't fix it. And there's kind of this heartfelt sentence where she says, you wouldn't be the Logan you are today if you didn't make that sacrifice. And they're kind of just like, okay, cool, let's go get a beer.
Yeah.
And I was just kind of like, okay.
It kind of ended like, okay, we have to end the movie now.
Yeah.
But I don't know if that was like a lack of having ideas in writing.
Right.
Or if that was on brand for a ridiculous Deadpool movie.
Yeah, both.
Both.
Maybe. We'll go with both on that. But they do wrap it up kind of like, oh, he can't go back. Okay, cool. Bye.
So Wolverine's got nowhere else to go. He doesn't want to go back home.
No.
They do make a deal with B-15 to take out the other heroes that were stuck in the void. So
yes, they do. Our favorite, our quad of cameos.
Yes. My fear was that this movie was going to end with all of the timelines being deleted, and that means all of the characters that we grew up with would have died.
Yeah, which would have sucked because all their people would have died too, and I don't like that concept.
But no, they all just get sent back to their timelines because B-15 said that she would do that as a reward. And Logan and Laura, X-23, get get in Deadpool's timeline,
and they all meet up at his house and have a little kickback.
Yeah, and I love that. I love the fact that Logan got a happy ending after this. Logan got a happy ending. We already got a Logan death.
Right.
We don't need to have that again.
And X-23 got out of the void.
Right.
Along with Blade, Elektra, and Gambit.
And I like the fact that X-23 is now back on the board for use, because if Wolverine is still going to be around for Secret Wars, she should. And I hope that, because Hugh Jackman said that he doesn't plan to stay Wolverine, I hope that
we'll see how much check they could.
I hope that they give the role to Daphne King. I think Daphne King would be, it's comic accurate. She is Wolverine currently in the comics, just like Sam is Captain America in the comics.
And you mentioned this last time, and I came across a tweet where somebody shared the same, or asked a question like, what if she did? And some of the quote tweets was not very supportive, so that would be interesting.
Well, it's not very supportive for the reasons that
that we talked about last time.
But
right.
My hope is that the same people who weren't very supportive of Sam getting Captain America are just as effective as Sam still being Captain America.
I was going to say, he got a whole movie coming out.
You guys don't have to support it.
And he's not going nowhere.
And she can still be Wolverine.
And
it's
the movie,
comic accurate.
Yeah.
We've had 20 years of Logan.
We'll see.
So what do you want him to do? I do love the fact that Deadpool did make fun of people who want Hugh Jackman to stay Wolverine.
Deadpool made fun of a lot of us.
Yeah. I love the fact that Deadpool made fun of people who are like, oh, the only Wolverine can be Hugh Jackman, because he made fun of Hugh Jackman basically saying Kevin Feige's going to make you do this till you're 90.
Yes, he said that at least 2 or 3 times.
I love that, and it makes sense. Hugh Jackman doesn't have to be Wolverine forever.
He doesn't. I don't know if Marvel got the gumption to make Wolverine a woman. I just don't know.
I mean,
I don't know.
She already is. So
listen, I think there's certain things it's like a box, and that one box don't get touched.
What I'm 100% not interested in is starting the X-Men stories from the beginning.
I don't think
I don't need an MCU version of the Phoenix Saga.
Nah, I don't
need an MCU version of the Sentinels.
They're going to do it like Fantastic Four, probably, where they're already established and they in the separate universe, and they getting pulled. I mean, think about it. We already have Beast.
Yeah.
So we don't need Beast backstory. He already established.
I'm
We're
fine. I'm fine with the X-Men that we know, the roster that we know. Already a new characters already established as X-Men.
Because Beast was in origins. Professor X's med bay. And so obviously he's already got his school on and popping.
Right.
We don't need. I don't think
need origins for any of these characters. I'd even be okay if they started off where Jean has died. Jean is dead. Jean has already had her Phoenix moment.
Because she's going to come back in another movie.
She's dead and buried. Right. Because she's going to be resuscitated. So I'm cool if
the next... would work.
I would be fine if the first X-Men movie starts off where it's at June's funeral. Because we know she's going to come back.
Right. By the end of the movie or after credit scene.
And that lets us know that we don't have to relive through the Phoenix saga again.
Jean!
So, but... Anyway, the movie does end with Daphne Keane and Hugh Jackman being left in Deadpool's universe, which is not the 616 universe.
So Deadpool and Wolverine do not make it back to Earth 616. Yeah. They are still in Earth 10,005. And I guess we kind of all, not we, as I'm saying me and you, or maybe just me, assumed that they were going to, put them over there.
The trailer made it seem like them dropping through the Doctor Strange portal would be the point where they would be in MCU.
That's what we thought they would show up.
It was a misdirect.
Yeah,
they're
literally going back home.
They're literally back where they started.
Or Deadpool's home.
He's back where he started.
Deadpool is still not in the Marvel universe, so we're going to have to wait probably till Secret Wars or never.
Man, no. We don't know if he'll. Yeah, we don't know. Another cameo that I will throw in here that we did not mention in the beginning was Happy.
Oh yeah, that was a good scene. This is where we get Deadpool's kind of backstory of, he wanted to be an Avenger, so he applied.
Yeah.
He had an interview for the Avengers, and Happy was like, you gotta want something else other than just doing this for you.
Yeah.
And they told him no, and this is when he basically quit being Deadpool and went to go sell cars.
Yeah, so we get a timestamp on it. He had an interview with Happy in 2018.
Oh, it was 18. I thought it was 14. I don't know why I thought that.
So it was 2018, which means it was 1 year before Endgame. So Tony was not dead yet. Tony and Steve weren't dead yet, and it was pre-snap. So we get images in Happy's office of Tony Stark. We get images of Steve Harvey and Steve Rogers, not Steve Harvey.
Wrong,
oh my
Steve.
gosh, Steve Rogers in like picture frames. So they're clearly still alive.
Okay,
and Deadpool asks to he's interviewing with Happy, but he's like, okay, so when is the guy gonna get here? So he's talking about Tony Stark.
And Happy's like, I am the guy as far as you is concerned.
Yeah. For all intents and purposes, I'm the guy that's doing the hiring here. So
right.
I did love the Happy cameo.
That was nice. I always like to see Happy in things.
Is there anything you didn't like?
I did, outside of them skimming over the humans getting rid of mutants, which I was kind of like, I'm not believing this pop point. All of the mic drops were good, except one in particular where they mashed up a T.I. song with Roland Emmerich Independence Day theme song, and I was like,
oh yeah, they mashed up Bring 'Em Out with some other thematic song.
It was basically take the Marvel theme and try to layer it over a T.I. song, and I was just like, this is not working. And they played almost the whole song, and I was like, this is not working for me. So some of the sound, I don't want to call it sound mixing, some of the soundtrack mixing didn't work, and it was a little distracting.
I like Bye Bye Bye. The rest of the needle drops I didn't really care about. But because the action sequences were so intense,
you didn't pay too much attention to the music. Okay.
I did also, before I go into anything I disliked, I did like the fight between Deadpool Wolverine and the Deadpool Corps.
Okay.
It was just a bloodfest because they're just fighting a bunch of Deadpools that can't die. We did get a Wolverine with the cowl on.
Yeah, and that's where the CGI a little wonky, but it was a great fan service.
Wolverine, Hugh Jackman with the cowl on was clearly a CGI model.
I don't know why,
and that's okay.
I don't know why when he first put it on, they had to CGI that.
I don't know.
He could have just put it on, in real life.
It looked goofy.
Yeah.
When he put it on in the shot, and then they cut back, and it was clearly fixed and fit to his face perfectly.
And at the end of the scene where they fight all the Deadpools, they jump out the back of the bus, and you're like, that is not Hugh Jackman on my screen right now. Who is this AI man?
I love the fact that they gave him a cowl, because we've always wanted to see the cowl in live action. The cowl in live action did not look good to me. It didn't look good.
I don't know why it seemed like it would have been this.
It was the eyes. I think if the eyes weren't whited out, it would be better.
Maybe.
It would look more like it looked, you know what?
It didn't look like Hugh Jackman was in the suit for a couple moments. I was like, that's not Hugh Jackman.
You know what? In Batman the Animated Series, his eyes are whited out, kind of like Deadpool's when Batman puts on the cowl. But whenever in the Batman films, his eyes are never whited out. You can always see his eyes. And it never looks goofy. It never looks goofy when you can see his eyes. But Wolverine with the whited out eyes makes him look a lot less expressionless.
It almost takes you out of this because they do this whole fight and they like cutting up limbs and chopping people and all this jazz, and they jump out of the bus and there's blood everywhere and they do this cool pose. But you looking at Wolverine like,
I think his
what in the chat GPT is happening?
Yeah, his cowl just looks uncomfortable. You ever seen somebody wear something? It's like, you're uncomfortable. You should take that off. Yeah.
Right.
His cowl looks uncomfortable for him. So, it looks like he can't see in it.
That was a nitpick that I had. Is that there's some scenes when he has it on and you can clearly tell they CGI the heck out of it.
I appreciate that they did it because it's a fan service thing. This is the first time we're seeing Wolverine in the iconic yellow suit. So if you're gonna do it,
good overall. But they could have just, gave somebody an extra day to clean that up.
Cowl's a little goofy.
Yeah.
The only thing I didn't like was I didn't think his breakup between him and Vanessa was very
fully
convincing,
fleshed out. Okay.
But when you add the fact that they didn't really flesh out Wolverine's backstory, which was much more major to this film than him.
That was
Vanessa's
a little minor.
breakup.
Yeah.
So they probably were like, if we're not going to give any attention or care to Wolverine's backstory,
which would have been a major part of the story,
right? We're absolutely not going to give any attention or care to Wade and Vanessa breaking up. So I wasn't convinced at their breakup. Their breakup felt forced. Them getting together, they're both so ridiculous.
Yeah, and they show little scenes of their like relationship in the movie. He was like, y'all fit perfectly. I don't understand.
It doesn't make sense that y'all would go on and find other people to love you the way that you loved each other. So their breakup didn't make sense.
You're both weird as
You're
heck.
both weirdos. So.
And they allude at the end of the movie that they probably gonna get back together.
Yeah,
so it's just kind of like,
get back together.
Why did we need to?
And when they decided to get back together at the end of the movie, I was like, you guys really didn't resolve your issues, but the credits have to roll, so fine.
Well, I mean, he said he did it for Vanessa, and that was her issue of like, and I guess that's why you on bad, because her issue was kind of like, well, Deadpool, you need to do something, or Wade, you need to do something else, and Wade's like, well, just tell me what to do. And she's like, that's not how that works.
I think that was it for me when she was having the conversation with him, like, you have to show me that you care about something else. In my mind, I was like, I don't think Vanessa would care about that. Like,
that wasn't in her personality.
She doesn't give me the type of person that would care that Wade wasn't doing something bigger with her life. She just liked being with Deadpool.
Okay.
So
you said that she did a code switch.
Yeah, she did. But that's the only thing I'll say that I didn't like about the film.
Okay.
So is there anything that you would change?
I said this as my dislike. I would have added more to the backstory of what exactly happened with Wolverine and what he been doing all this time. Because he made it like, I've been alive for 200 years. I'm like,
just drinking. He just became a drunk, I guess.
What have you been doing since all the mutants died? Like, you just been killing your liver?
He said that he turned all of the human race against the mutants, but they didn't flesh that out, so I couldn't really like gauge what he would have done that would have caused that to happen.
They could have expositioned the heck out of it, and I would have been like, sure, okay.
And also, I don't think Wolverine is just that powerful, or Wolverine
not
just doesn't. He's not that powerful to like invoke hatred against the entire mutant race.
And where is Professor X at?
It makes more sense that Jean becoming the Phoenix and going nuts would have made all the humans
they
more
should have just went with the comic book storyline and he got mind wiped and got Buckied and killed everybody.
Yeah.
I would have took the Bucky storyline.
Because it happens, ask Bucky. Like,
yeah.
It's totally believable.
And then they sent him to Wakanda and got better. And I'm just playing.
Yeah. Anything I would change, I agree with you. The backstory between Wolverine and the death of his X-Men. He does say that he wore the iconic yellow and blue suit because the rest of them had their iconic suits and they looked goofy in there. I would have loved to see like a flashback or just like a picture frame of them in their I just want to see Halle Berry in the white suit.
Right, because what happens is when Deadpool finds Logan, he already has the suit on.
Yeah.
So he like wears it because he says that's like the only thing that I have left of my family, essentially, the X-Man, is the suit. So he's wearing a suit under his normal clothes, which now that I think about it, is real funky and nasty. Yeah. But he's an alcoholic, so I don't think
I would have forgiven all this movie's sins if I could have seen Storm in the white suit. But, maybe we will see that in the MCU X. Maybe that's why they're saving it.
They did when we in the credits. You saw it in the credits. You forgot about the credits? She was there?
She was not in the white suit.
Sorry.
So.
She was in a suit.
The only other thing I'd say I would change is the Vanessa stuff, but I don't think that's important enough to change.
Okay.
Favorite line or favorite scene?
Ooh, this is a hard one. Ooh, favorite line.
I loved all the divorce jokes.
Okay.
I love the Hugh Jackman divorce joke because Hugh Jackman just got divorced from his wife of like 30 plus years.
Yeah.
And I love the
fact
say
that, just, but I feel like it's been like maybe 6 months, but it's been recent.
I love the fact that they made Hugh Jackman was able to poke fun at that for the sake of the film. I love the divorce joke between Jennifer Garner and Ben Affleck when Deadpool said, "I'm sorry about what happened to the Daredevil in your universe," and Elektra's like, "It's fine." Yeah.
There was a lot of like jokes that they were like hitting on people. That there was a Will Smith joke when he said dang, what did he say? He said keep something out of your mouth.
Yeah, keep my wife's name out your mouth.
Yeah, but it wasn't wife, it was something else. I was like, oh, that's a Will Smith joke. I mean, they made a lot of jokes, but my favorite, you said favorite line or scene.
Yeah,
there's too many jokes to have a favorite joke. I need to watch the movie again. Like it's still fresh. Favorite scene might have been Human Torch.
Because Chris Evans' cameo was great.
Because everybody else's cameo, they came back as themselves. But we first saw Chris Evans as Captain America. And we were like, oh, he's Captain America. But when he switched to a different character, I was like, oh, this is it. Y'all did it.
It was great.
Congratulations. I'm floored.
And I guess my favorite, another favorite joke that I had was Wesley Snipes' constant jokes about never making another Blade.
Yeah, those were good.
I love the fact that he looked at the camera when he said it too.
Yeah, that's why I said I couldn't pick one because there was so many, and I need to watch him again to make sure I don't leave a good joke out.
Do you have a favorite fight scene?
Ooh.
I will say my favorite fight scene is all the heroes fighting Cassandra Nova and her goons at her hideout at the end.
Okay. Mine would have to be Deadpool and Wolverine fighting in that car, in that Honda Odyssey.
That was good. It was long and it was bloody.
They were cutting each other up and you knew they couldn't kill each other, but it was just insane how the many places that they were stabbing one another.
And I love the fact that they just stopped fighting when they were done. Like they realized they couldn't kill each other, so eventually they just would be like, we're done.
They were fighting and they panned the camera to a coexist bumper sticker that you have probably seen, I'm sure, on a car, and you can tell that the day turns to night and that the night turns back in the day, and we can just hear them fighting and blood's like dripping down the bumper sticker.
And eventually the next shot is Deadpool is like tied up in belts and Wolverine sleep. And they have, neither one of them has successfully killed each other, but they have agreed to stop fighting.
Yes, they're both alive, obviously, after a long night of fighting. The fight scene in the forest between the two of them was probably my favorite.
And final thoughts about the movie and our rating.
Go see it. After you listen to this, if you haven't seen it, go see it. I actually think I want to see this again. Definitely the best Deadpool of the three.
This film is an absolute experience.
Yeah.
I loved seeing it in the theaters with the other fans. It definitely gave me Infinity War Endgame vibes.
We finally got a little touch of it.
Definitely got some No Way Home vibes. We were in that theater elbow to elbow.
Not by choice. That wasn't by choice, but yeah, I got you.
In the world's tiniest seats.
I don't understand.
And on the largest AMC screen.
Not reclining. No recliner, so.
But I thought it was a great movie.
It was good.
I went in completely not caring about the depth of the plot. I knew it was going to be a cameo fest. I just wanted, my main concern was them following through on the cameo hype. You build up all this hype just like No Way Home did, and No Way Home had some missed opportunities. And Deadpool absolutely recovered.
They gave the cameos something to do.
The cameos,
and they lived.
Yeah. It was like when you have a dream. It was like having a dream and a bunch of random heroes pop up in it. This was kind of like the same thing, but in a film. So I think that they did it well. The cameos paid off.
They did. And I'm so thankful that nobody got the hint of a spoiler about we got Daphne, Jennifer Garner lied, but the rest of them, like, thank you to whoever planted the seeds of lies to throw people off the scent and held in the highest regard of keeping these cameos safe, because it was the best experience to not have that spoiled.
Nobody saw Channing Tatum coming.
No, literally only one. Elektra was the only one where she was kind of like, no, I'm not in this. And Marvel didn't say, show like Daphne King, they showed in the trailer, so we knew it. And she had previously lied, so that was fine. But Elektra or Jennifer Garner was like, no, it's not me.
Absolutely nobody saw Blade coming.
No.
Didn't know we were going to get a Henry Cavill and Hulk cameo. So they absolutely... they absolutely followed through on all the cameo promises and then some.
Crazy.
So in that regard, I have no complaint.
None.
My rating for this is a 5 out of 5. 5 Nicole Kidmans for this.
Yeah.
I would remove a Nicole Kidman for lack of plot. And I would traditionally remove a Nicole Kidman for the lack of plot.
Yeah.
And for the issues with Logan's backstory.
Mm-hmm.
But I think I was so satisfied with everything else that I was okay. I was okay with them not filling out Logan's backstory because we got a Henry Cavill Wolverine. And the way that the film ended, it got a very good happy ending. And I'm excited to see these characters that we have left again.
Right.
So
anytime I have a pretty high probability of going to go see a movie in the theater doing this theatrical run, got to give it a 5.
Yeah, it's a 5.
It's. I'm probably actually gonna go see this.
It has.
I need the jokes again.
I can only think of like 2 solid negatives, but the negatives don't outweigh the positives. So I can't remove a Nicole Kidman for that because the rest of it is just so good, and I definitely want to see it again.
Yeah, I mean, look, y'all did. I was a little nervous because I was like, "Oh, this shtick."
Yeah,
I don't know.
I was nervous going in. They did an excellent job with this film.
Mm-hmm.
They focused on, I don't know, they just focused on the fan service in a way that
wasn't too fan service-y. I don't know how to describe it.
They focused on the fan service where instead of just giving us cameos for the sake of cameos, they actually gave the characters that made cameos things to do. And I enjoyed watching them do things, and I enjoyed the lines that they had. They talked to each other.
And I like the fact that they didn't just kill them all willy-nilly.
Yeah.
And
they weren't play for laughs. I mean, Human Torch kind of, but I'll give you that one.
Right. Well, and I guess that, you know what, they corrected, and this was an issue for me, so I ain't talking about me. They corrected people's problem with Multiverse of Madness, where we had the cameos and then Wanda sniped them in 5 minutes, which I quite enjoyed on a personal level. But this time they were like, well, let's not piss people off again.
Right.
And they actually had the cameos have things to do, and they got to live. So y'all should be happy now. Let's lay off Wanda. Thank you very much.
Yeah. So that is all I have to say about Deadpool and Wolverine. Is there anything else you would like to add?
Go see it, y'all.
Yeah.
If you don't see it, everybody gonna see it for you.
Yeah, you're missing out. Well,
based on these numbers,
if you haven't seen it, it's probably already been spoiled for you. Because
you know what?
Even Marvel is not hiding the spoilers.
Even though it's spoiled, you still don't know the depth and the scenes of which those characters are in.
You still have to see it.
Right. Like you have to see Chris Evans go from Captain America to Johnny Storm, like on screen, because you don't get the satisfaction just by reading it.
Mm-hmm. And acting is still good.
Right.
The way he was able to slide right back into jerky, annoying, immature Johnny Storm.
Yeah, and you don't get Wesley Snipes showing up. Like, you can read about it, but to see him actually show up and talk and interact and have his same Blade like personality, you need to see it. So even though people might have gotten spoiled, you still need to see the movie to see. And I actually think they spoiled it to get more, like I said, I think it was a marketing tactic to people be like, oh, now Blade is back, Elektra is back, Channing Tatum finally got to be Gambit. Like, I need to see this movie. So the marketing team is awake over there, should I say.
So it's 5s across the board for us in the Nicole Kidman realm
five
for Deadpool and Wolverine. That is our review of Deadpool and Wolverine and the end of our episode.
Yep.
I will take us out. Thanks for listening.
Wait a minute, sir. You did not ask what we was watching next.
Oh, what are we watching next?
Trap?
Yes.
Okay. I had to think about it like, I asked you that, then I wasn't ready yet.
Next weekend, we will be watching M. Night Shyamalan's Trap after we just finished a couple weeks ago. His daughters. Night Shyamalan's The Watchers.
I'm looking forward to Trap, though.
I enjoyed The Watchers. It had some issues, but I did enjoy the film.
was okay.
It had some issues, but I enjoyed it. I hope that M. Night Shyamalan is back to form.
The village. Let's give us a village.
Yeah, put us back in the Signs village vibe. But it's getting pretty good reviews. A lot of people are saying that he's back to his King of Twist title. So
okay,
I'm hoping.
I'm very curious of what the twist of this is.
Yeah, because it seems kind of straightforward, but
it's M. Night Shyamalan. So we know
that might just be great trailer work.
He's an alien.
We've seen how great trailer work has worked for us with Deadpool and Wolverine.
He's from Mars.
I think it's the daughter. I think the daughter's the butcher.
Oh God, Jesus, take us out, please.
Thanks for listening. If you like our show, please share it. You can leave us a review on Apple Podcasts or on our website, vaguelynerdypodcast.com, where you can also leave us a voice message, which we will play on the show if it is nice. You can follow us on Twitter at vaguelynerdypod or IG at vaguelynerdypodcast. You can also watch our animated podcast format on YouTube or on our website, vaguelynerdypodcast.com.
Yep.
And you can reach us at vaguelynerdypodcast@gmail.com.
Bye.
Bye.
Peace.